have also big news coming in that the cyclone is reducing its speed. It's weakening already. Well, I would say that's the hope that many would have, that for now, Biporjoy has weakened. It's moving toward the coast. According to the new prediction of the Met Department, there could be the landing time and speed could go around 116. That's way lower than 130 and 145 kilometer predicted per hour, which means cyclone could have lost its intensity now and likely to weaken significantly immediately after the landfall. This is big news that we are breaking to you right now. I want to immediately bring in India Today's Kumar Kunal, who closely tracks the Met Department. I remember usually in the past few years, these cyclones have, before making a landfall, for example, the cyclone Phalion in 2013 have reduced its speed. What are you hearing this time about the weakening speed for now? Kumar, for now.
Pooja, just the IMD has released an expected path and expected speed at which the cyclone will move from here, and what they have predicted that it will lose its intensity. Right now it is almost 65 knots. If we will convert it to the kilometer per hour, then it is already its speed is below 130 kilometers per hour, which is a significant fall in the speed of the cyclone. And by the time it will reach the coast, the coastal areas of Gujarat, it will further lose its intensity and speed, and hence what we were expecting earlier, that it will be a very severe cyclonic storm. The category is likely to reduce in a severe cyclonic storm and not a very severe cyclonic storm. So let's see how the things will move from here till the evening when the landfall is expected. But what we are getting from the IMD, that it has lost its severity as of now and likely to reduce further after the landfall. Immediately after the landfall, what will happen? That the dry wind might fill in, and that will help in reducing the intensity of the cyclone further after the landfall. So we are also keeping a track over the speed as well as the projected path, and we will update.
This is big news that you're bringing to us. Remember, 115 kilometer per hour is not exactly a low speed, but compared to possibly 145 kilometer per hour, it is significantly lower, and this will be the speed as of now, as predicted, when it makes a landfall. Even then, remember, to be reporting amid these strong winds is not easy. I want to go in now to the holy city of Dwarka, where Brijesh Doshi is. Brijesh, over to you now. You've been constantly reporting amid the strong winds, but with the possibility of a weakening cyclone, what could it really mean? Could it bring at least some relief? Because there's prediction of a massive damage of this cyclone when it makes a landfall.
Definitely, Pooja, that's a big relief for the administrative part and as well as the people of Gujarat, because whenever the prediction of the cyclone given by the Met Department is always give panic reactions to the people. But right now, a big relief for the people of Gujarat right now. I'm in Dwarka, and I just would like to ask my cameraman to show you the visuals of the rough sea. Though the cyclone is weakening or the speed is reducing, there is no change in the waves of the sea of the Dwarka. The high tides are there, high current is there. Just rain has stopped currently at this moment. Otherwise, it was continuously raining, but the speed of the wind is increasing in the daytime, and I'm barely able to stand exactly at my place. So the wind speed is going to be increased again, though cyclone is going to be a weaker. One more thing I would like to add in this regarding the cyclone part, that at as per the bulletin of the IMD, at 5:30 am the exact location of the cyclone is 180 kilometers southwest of the
Stay on with me, Brijesh. Dwarkadish temple has also been temporarily closed. Met Department is speaking about the latest. Let's go across to what the Met Department is saying.
साउथ वेस्ट दिशा पे नॉर्थ ईस्ट अरेबियन सी में केंद्रीभूत है। अभी इसका जो विंड स्पीड है वो भी 125 to 135 गोस्टिंग टू 150 किलोमीटर पर आवर चल रहा है, और आज शाम तक ये तट के पास पहुंचेगा और जखाऊ के आसपास सौराष्ट्र कच्छ और पाकिस्तान कोस्ट को हिट करेगा और तब इसका विंड स्पीड 115 to 125 kmph गस्टिंग टू 140 kmph होने का पूर्वानुमान किया गया है, जो कि एक वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोन स्टॉर्म है।
पहले के मुकाबले क्या इंटेंसिटी के बारे में थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए।
जैसे हमने पहले बताया था कि आज साइक्लोन थोड़ा सा वीक होने का संभावना था और 125 to 135 गस्टिंग 145 विंड स्पीड हम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे सुबह, और ऐसे ही हुआ है। थोड़ा से विंड स्पीड अभी साइक्लोन के सेंटर के आसपास कम हुआ है, मगर फिर ये एक वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोन स्टॉर्म है।
जी सर, अगर इस पर एक बार अगर
जैसे आप यहाँ देख रहे हैं, ये एक वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोन स्टॉर्म है और ये आगे नॉर्थ ईस्ट दिशा पे सौराष्ट्र कच्छ और एडजॉइनिंग पाकिस्तान की तरफ बढ़ रहा है।
जी बस सर, एक छोटा सा मैं ये चाह रहा था कि थोड़ा ऐसा एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए कि जो आम लोग हैं उनको समझ में थोड़ा आ जाए कि गंभीर कितनी स्थिति है।
So that is the Met Department really updating us. Remember, of course, the officials at the Meteorological Department are constantly tracking every minute, every hour, where the path currently is. It started from the south of Arabian Sea on the 6th of June. By June 15th, it is making this landfall at 3 p.m. Remember, even if it is weakening as a speed, does not mean people should or can venture into the sea. When a cyclone of this very severe category is set to make a landfall, this actually means a massive evacuation process. According to the Gujarat government, over 70,000 people have been evacuated and moved to temporary shelters. What does this mean? What are the arrangements like? What are the people saying? I want you to take a look at this ground report sent by my colleagues.
As Cyclone Biparjoy nears the Gujarat coast, the focus is on evacuating people from low-lying areas and the impact points. When Cyclone Biparjoy makes landfall, wind speeds could go up to 195 km per hour, enough to cause large-scale destruction and havoc. And that's why authorities are taking no chances. Over 30,000 people have been shifted from coastal areas to makeshift shelters in anticipation of powerful cyclone. This is Mundra town in Kutch district, where locals are being moved out ahead of the cyclone making landfall.
So here all these laborers who are usually living in a kacha house made by tent sheet, metal sheet, and that probably will literally blown away with the wind speed as it is expected during the cyclone impact. Hence all and the preventive measures, they have been evacuated, taken to the safer places in these shelter house, the government accommodations, school, dharamshala, mandir, all these premises. Certain arrangements including the health, medicines have been made out here.
Nearby villages also wear a deserted look now, as most locals have been moved out.
And this is the place, the village called Modhwa, which is located between Mandvi and Mundra in the Kutch region, largely dominated by the fishermen community, and everyone has now evacuated. All I see, what is left here in this net, which is of course the one and only source of income for the fishermen community. Entire village is now looking deserted. Everyone has left, and that was the priority of the administration, to take them to safer places.
The cyclone is expected to have maximum impact in Kutch, and that's why multiple NDRF teams have been deployed in these villages.
पानी जो है वो यहाँ पे आने की जो संभावनाएं हैं वो सबसे ज़्यादा जताई जा रही है। वैसे में अब जो घर है वो धीरे धीरे यहाँ पे खाली करवाए जा रहे हैं। ये सारे फिशरमैन हैं जो यहाँ पे मछुआरी करके अपना जीवन बसर करते हैं, लेकिन अब उनको भी डर लगने लगा है, उनको भी डर सता रहा है, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उनको लग रहा है कि साइक्लोन जो है वो सबसे ज़्यादा इसी इलाके को प्रभावित करेगा।
बच्चे से हमारे लेडीज बच्चे सब है, इसलिए हम बहुत डरे हुए।
ये सब बच्चे के लेडीज को डर है, पर हमको तरवरिया है, हमको डर नहीं आता है, बच्चे के साथ डर होता है।
With villages evacuated and NDRF, SDRF teams on standby, Gujarat braces for Cyclone Biparjoy. With Ashutosh Mishra and Gopi Manyar in Kutch, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across to my reporter, because remember, at a time when evacuations have taken place, our reporters are on the ground to help you understand the nature of this cyclone. And it's important to put it in perspective after many years that the cyclone that is set to make a landfall in Gujarat. Therefore, in Gujarat, in the holy city of Dwarka, is my colleague Brijesh Doshi. He's been reporting, remember, amid strong winds. rainfall, high tides. It's not an easy assignment. I want to go across to him. Brijesh, do tell us for now, how is the administration reacting to perhaps the weakening speed? Because we know that evacuation of 70,000 people have taken place. And I know that some people don't even want to be evacuated, specifically if they're farmers, if they're the villagers. So what has been the evacuation process like? Have they made temporary shelters? Does it have good facilities?
Pooja, definitely the people won't like to change their home for the couple of days. So the authorities have faced this kind of problem. Yesterday I had a conversation with Union Minister Rupala, and he said that most probably people are not want to go to another place, but administrative has done the good part, and they have been evacuated. Every possible steps has been taken by the government authorities. So this is a big relief for the government authorities right now. Though people have been evacuated and they want to go back to their home whenever it is possible, but all the arrangements done by the government authorities for their from their food to every possible things, medical equipments, medical treatment, or the ambulance, or the every medicines, everything has been done by the government. This is a big relief for the government authorities right now. If cyclone is going to be weaker and it's not landing at Jakhau port, so that will be a big relief for the entire Gujarat government, because if this will land at Kutch, Jakhau, it will damage heavily at the border area of the Kutch. So everyone is praying. I told you in the morning as well that yesterday itself Home Minister of State Harsh Sanghvi has prayed at Dwarkadish Mandir and asked everything has been everyone is right now just praying that this storm, or the cyclonic storm,
if it's possible for you right now to show us around the high tide and the wind speed that we can observe around you as well, but specifically because it's been now increasing as an impact that is expected, what is the high current, the tide looking around you?
I would like to ask my cameraman to show you the visuals of the high tide and the current in the ocean of the Arabian Ocean at Dwarka beach. So the tides are the same. There is no change in the intensity of the tides and the current of the sea. Though cyclone is weakening, the waves are high and the current is high. Just a good part is that the rain has stopped currently, which was early in the morning not possible because of the rain. So right now the rain has stopped, and current in the sea is the same as in the morning. So government authorities are looking after every advisories issued by the Met Department. Union Minister Rupala is in Dwarka. Home Minister of State Harsh Sanghvi is also in Dwarka, and they are currently monitoring the situation. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia is in Kutch, and he is looking after all the activities happening in Kutch. So 5 Union Home Minister has been deployed in 5 severe districts which will be affected by the cyclone. So 5 Union Ministers and 6 State Ministers, they are trying to facilitate the local administration for any kind of rescue operation or any kind of evacuation process where they are getting a problem or they are facing the problem. So all possible steps has been taken right now, and now everyone is praying that the cyclone must not hit Kutch, but as per the prediction of the IMD and as per latest bulletin, 5:30 AM in the morning, the cyclone was 180 kilometers away from the Jakhau port and is moving towards north in the north direction from Jakhau. So it will land by evening as per the latest prediction of the IMD.
Keep tracking the latest and stay on with me, Brijesh, because we are looking at these visuals and I want the viewer to take a look at these constant visuals also that are coming in. Remember, this is about the massive damage that could be expected, not just to trees, but power lines. The transport that has been parked, everything has been halted for now, which means train and air services could also be temporarily halted, at least till the time the landfall takes place. Brijesh, if the landfall, let's say, rhetorically takes place at about 3 p.m. as is being predicted, will it be perhaps next few hours after that before the residents of the area can actually return to their home? Because there would be some caution that the government would want to still have, at least for the next few hours, till about night, isn't it?
Government has already assured the people that, they've given the advice to the people that they should not move back to their home before 16th. All the guidelines has been issued by the government is showing that till 16th of June. So till tomorrow. Everyone has to stay at the rescue center or the evacuation center done by the shelter homes done by the government. I'll also show you the wind speed right now at the Dwarka beach. The wind speed is constantly increasing from morning, and it will still increase around to about 100 or 100 kilometers per hour in the next couple of hours. So cyclone, if the cyclone hit to the Kutch or the Jakhau port, the speed will reduce to the 115 kilometers per hour. But still, that won't. There will definitely damage the port area of the Jakhau, Mandvi, and the coastal Kutch line. So it's not like that. If the storm is getting weaker, it won't harm or it won't affect. Or it won't damage any property. It will damage properties of the Kutch, all the ports. And that's why Indian Army, Navy and the Coast Guard, they are already preparing for the rescue operation once the landfall will happen.
Stay on with me because we're looking at these visuals of high current, high tides that are taking place. There's been a rainfall, though it has stopped in the Dwarka area. Take a look at this. This is Mumbai. So this is in Maharashtra, where also alert has been given. While Gujarat is where the landfall is expected, Maharashtra and Karnataka are adjacent states that have also been given an alert. Remember, it is an orange alert in some areas, specifically which are close to the coastal areas. Even in Mumbai city, there is, even though the path does not come for Maharashtra, but there is an impact that can be seen of heavy rainfall and the high tides and waves. Remember, it was in Mumbai a few days ago that 4 to 5 young men are just interested and curious to see the high tides, went near and at the Juhu beach and got swept away. Only 2 of the bodies could actually be then returned to their families and found out from the sea. So it's imperative to understand that even if in areas where it is not making a landfall, it is not exactly entertainment to go out to see about how tides are actually taking shape higher than they are used to. This is a very severe cyclonic storm that has been given out as an advisory by the Met Department to not venture near the sea. So whether in Maharashtra or Karnataka as well in coastal areas, that advisory has gone out. But in Gujarat, where we specifically are expected to see the landfall, we are being told that Kutch and Saurashtra area have been given a red alert. Red alert is the highest alert that actually means that there could be massive damage expected, and that is why evacuations have taken place. Brijesh Doshi continues to be with us. Brijesh, do tell us about other areas around you. And I understand Dwarka, because it's a holy city, there must be a lot of temples and residential areas. And that is Brijesh Doshi in Dwarka. But what about other areas as well? Ashutosh Mishra has sent us this ground report. Not an easy moment to be in. Ashutosh sent us this brief ground report coming in from Mandvi. Mandvi is
and the pre-impact of this landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy is already visible in parts of Kutch and Mandvi. Almost everything goes invisible now. The creeks, very rough ocean, and the wind speed. This is literally going to create havoc in this region of Kutch. In fact, even standing at this place is next to impossible now. I can see literally the weather has deteriorated. All machineries are on standby. Quick response team will be at its initial. In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch, Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
You can see when the wind speed can touch about 130 kilometers per hour. It's not even easy to stand while there is heavy rainfall as well. And that is why giving us the updates are our reporters on ground. Gopi is in Gujarat, so is Brijesh Doshi and Ashutosh Mishra. Even from Maharashtra, our reporters are tracking the latest about the situation on the ground. 3 p.m., which means still a few hours to go for the cyclone to take place. But for now, according to latest information coming in from the Met Department, the speed has weakened. The speed appears to be 115 kilometers per hour after it makes the landfall. So even before that, while it is a prediction that has been that has taken place, the reduced speed could stand at about 115. Earlier, it was predicted it could be 145 kilometers per hour. We are being told that this is a 325-kilometer stretch of coast between Mandvi in Gujarat and even Karachi in Pakistan. So that is the belt, the border belt, that is where the landfall is expected to take place. It is a massive area of a 325-kilometer because that's clearly, of course, the cyclone path that is being tracked for now. According to our Met Department, it could hit the Indian port of Jakhau. Jakhau is where it's likely to make a landfill. It's going to be a powerful storm. And late evening is when we are expecting, after 3 p.m. is when that landfall to take place. Thereby, remember, while about 70,000 people have already been evacuated, there have been a temporary halt to the train and air services as well. 15 teams of NDRF, which is the National Disaster Response Force, 12 of the SDRF, 115 teams of State and Building Department and Electricity Deployment Services have been put on a standby. So Brijesh Doshi, I return to you because you're in Dwarka. There's Mandvi, Dwarka. These are areas, Kutch and Saurashtra, where the red alert has also gone ahead. Has rainfall stopped around you? As I understand, the wind speed is still very high.
Yes, Pooja, the wind speed is very high, but the rain has stopped, so that's a good part for me as well. The thing is that there are 8 districts which are the affected by the cyclonic storm Biporjoy. Dwarka, Porbandar, Jamnagar, Kutch, Gir Somnath and Rajkot as well as Morbi. So these are the districts which are going to be affected by the cyclone. Met Department predicted the rainfall at Morbi, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Dwarka and Kutch. Red alert has been issued for the Kutch and Dwarka district. But as of far now, there is not much rain, so that's a good part at here. But the condition of the sea is not good. It's totally rough sea right now. Every possible steps has been taken by the government.
As well, Mandvi is also where a serious high alert has been given. That's where it's around the area where it could make a landfall. Ashutosh, I'm coming to you now. We saw the report where the wind speed was very high. The rainfall is still on. What is the situation looking like right now? You can hear me, and I will urge you to be only at a safer location where it's comfortable to you and secure for you and the team to be able to report. Can you hear me, Ashutosh? Ashutosh, if you can hear me, do respond and go ahead with what you're telling us. We can see strong winds around you and the rainfall as well. All right, as you can see, it's not easy to be in a situation like that. Ashutosh, we are trying to, we'll try. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Ashutosh, if you can hear me. All right, we'll try and get back to Ashutosh in just a short while. This is the impact just before the landfall is to take place. You can see that there is heavy rainfall, a wind speed that is about 100 km per hour and more. We're trying to get a word in from my colleague Ashutosh Mishra, who's there in Mandvi. Mandvi is one of...
And it just started...
Go ahead, Ashutosh.
Now, literally, standing against this current, the massive wind speed is next to impossible. And you see the creek right behind me. Just an hour ago almost, there was a clear surface visible. The water level is barely more than 5 to 6 feet. But all you see now, totally a rough ocean with a high current. And all of a sudden, this just started barely 5 to 10 minutes ago. All of a sudden, like someone pushed you. So literally, you know, it requires really a resistance to face this kind of wind speed. Though there is a prediction by the Met Department, the cyclone will slow down up to around 10 km per hour. So even in that case, the maximum speed will be 130 to 140 kmph. But you see, this kind of situation, almost the village across this creek of Mandvi, everything is now invisible. So that is how the impact of a pre-cyclonic landfall is quite seen here in Mandvi, the part of Kutch, which is going to be the epicenter of this tragedy, as the eye of the storm will be passing through at far distance from here. But the radius of the ice storm is literally bringing havoc. At Mandvi with Sanjay, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
That is Ashutosh Mishra sending us this report. Remember, it's absolutely unclear for now because the manner in which the wind speed and the rainfall is to even stand at that location. And this is to help our viewers also understand about the sort of situation it must be in Mandvi. Mandvi has also been, as a coast given in that highlight.
दरिया का पानी यहाँ से होकर गुजरता है, यहाँ नाव खड़ी होती हैं और यहाँ काफ़ी कुछ देखने के लिए होता है, लेकिन अब यहाँ सब कुछ इनविजिबल है और ऊपर से पानी जो है इस क्रीक में इसका करंट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है। 5-10 मिनट पहले ही ये शुरू हुआ और ऐसा लगा जैसे किसी ने धक्का दे दिया हो, लोग खड़े और पूरी ताकत से कोई आपको धकेल रहा है। इस हवा के सामने इंसान का भी खड़ा रहना मुश्किल है। आप ये समझ सकते हैं कि जब इसकी रफ्तार 130-140 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे के हिसाब से आगे बढ़ेगी तो स्थिति क्या होगी। हालांकि मौसम विभाग ने कहा है कि इसकी जो रफ्तार है और इसकी जो इंटेंसिटी है वो कम होगी, लेकिन 150 किलोमीटर तक जाने वाली हवा अगर 140 तक भी पहुँचती है तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि उस हवा के आगे किसी का भी खड़ा होना कितना मुश्किल है। तो सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान इन चीज़ों होगा वो इस तरह की लाइट्स को होने वाली थी, इसीलिए एहतियात के तौर पर पहले ही इनको हटा दिया गया। लेकिन इससे ठीक आगे मैं आपको क्रीक का हिस्सा दिखाता हूँ। इस क्रीक में सुबह जो है सब कुछ विजिबल था। मैं संजय से कहूँगा थोड़ा सा आगे आने की कोशिश करें और इस इलाके में अलग अलग जो सुरक्षित जगह है, जैसे ये बड़ा सा एंकर का पीस है, कम से कम यहाँ थोड़ा सुरक्षित जगह मिल जाएगी, क्योंकि इस समय आपको मेरी आवाज़ सुनने में भी काफ़ी दिक्कत हो रही होगी। हवा काफ़ी तेज़ है और क्रीक्स में जो पानी है उसमें लहर अमूमन करंट नहीं होता है, लेकिन अब यहाँ करंट ज़्यादा और साथ ही इस क्रीक के दूसरी तरफ जो पूरा गांव है वहाँ से जो हमें जितना आंखें देख पा रही, हालांकि कैमरे के जरिए इसको देखना मुश्किल होगा धुंध के जरिए, उससे पता चल रहा है कि जब ये भी हवा और तेज होकर अभी तो सिर्फ समझिए कि 3 बजने में काफ़ी समय है, उसके पहले जो शुरुआत हुई है अगर वो इतनी भीषण है तो जब ये लैंडफॉल होगा ये दोस्तों इस इलाके से गुजरेगा तो अपने साथ किस तरह का प्रकोप लेकर के आएगा। ये जो तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं वो बेहद भयावह है और इसी के लिए आप समझिए कि सरकार की ओर से, प्रशासन की ओर से वो तैयारियां की गई थी। इस तरह की तैयारियां जानमाल का नुकसान ना हो, लेकिन अगर इतनी तेज़ हवा है तो सबसे ज़्यादा नुकसान होगा वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को होगा, टेलीकॉम, बिजली, कच्चे मकान हो और खासकर मछुआरों का गांव जहां पर छोटे मकान, कच्चे मकान होते हैं। लेकिन अब जो हम देख पा रहे हैं कि जो प्री इम्पैक्ट है साइक्लोन का उसकी शुरुआत हो चुकी है। कल के मुकाबले जो हवा है लगभग अपनी दुगनी रफ्तार से चल रही है। बरसात जो है, बरसात की थपेड़ी ये जो बूंदें गिर रही हैं ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे पीठ पर कोई हंटर मार रहा हो। ये मोटी जैकेट के बाद ये हवा जो है ये जो इसके साथ जो बूंदें आ रही हैं वो चोट पहुंचा रही हैं। तो अभी तो सिर्फ ये प्री इम्पैक्ट है, हालांकि अचानक से फिर बरसात बंद हुई है, लेकिन हवा काफ़ी तेज़ है और ये जब जैसे जैसे अपनी इंटेंसिटी आगे बढ़ाएगा लैंडफॉल के करीब जाते जाते तब हालात और असामान्य होते जाएंगे। मांडवी पोर्ट से संजय कुमार के साथ मैं आशुतोष मिश्रा, आगे तक।
So that is Ashutosh Mishra sending us from the Mandvi this report, and the visuals are for all to see. Remember, at a time when the rainfall is only increasing and specifically the wind speed, that is what is being shown in our report, and we'll continue to get the latest from our ground reporters as well. Ashutosh Mishra, Gopi Manyar and Brijesh Doshi continue to be with us from different locations. This you're looking at are the high tides that are coming in Gujarat. The coast areas of Gujarat are where specifically the evacuations have taken place. The services are likely to face a heavy damage unless, as the latest information from the Met Department is, that the speed could weaken. We'll play again the reports that have been sent in by Ashutosh, and then I'll go across to my colleague Brijesh Doshi live as well, joining me. For now, we are being told that the speed of the cyclone has been slightly weakened as in when it makes a landfall. Let's take a look at this report.
And the pre-impact of this landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy is already visible in parts of Kutch and Mandvi. Almost everything goes invisible now. The creeks, very rough ocean, and the wind speed. This is literally going to create havoc in this region of Kutch. In fact, even standing at this place is next to impossible now. I can see literally the weather has deteriorated. All machineries are on standby. Quick response team will be at its station. In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today. And it's a pre-impact of Cyclone Biparjoy, which has hit the coastal line of West Gujarat in West Kutch. And this is Mandvi Port. And it just started 5 minutes ago. Now, literally, standing against this current, massive wind speed is next to impossible. And you see the creek right behind me. Just an hour ago almost there was a clear surface visible. The water level is barely more than 5 to 6 feet. But all you see now, totally a rough ocean with a high current. And all of a sudden this started barely 5 to 10 minutes ago. all of a sudden like someone pushed you. So literally, you know, it requires really a resistance to face this kind of wind speed. Though there is a prediction by the Met Department, the cyclone will slow down up to around 10 km per hour. So even in that case, the maximum speed will be 130 to 140 kmph. But you see, this kind of situation, almost the village across this creek of Mandvi, everything is now invisible. So that is how the impact of a pre-cyclonic landfall is quite seen here in Mandvi, the part of Kutch, which is going to be the epicenter of this tragedy, as the eye of the storm will be passing through at far distance from here. But the radius of the ice storm is literally bringing havoc. At Mandvi with Sanjay, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
Situation definitely turning concerning there in areas where it's likely to make a landfall, which is about a 325-kilometer stretch from Gujarat even to the border beyond in Pakistan as well, in Karachi. That's the belt that is currently being seen as the landfall. Brijesh Doshi joins me from Dwarka right now. Brijesh, so the temple must have been closed, the Dwarkadhish temple. The area must have been completely cordoned off. Is the city completely at a standstill right now?
See, the Dwarkadish temple has been closed. It was announced just yesterday that temple authority has decided that in the wake of the effect of the cyclones, the temple will be closed for today only. From tomorrow onwards, all the devotees will be able to pray at the Dwarkadish temple. Right now, I'm just showing you the sea and the area of nearby the beach. It is totally vacant, and no one is allowed to come here from last 4 days. Advisories and advisories have been issued for all the people that they should not move nearby the sea. The city is right now, the life of city is right now is normal, because this is the beach area which is far away from the city. So in all the activities of the cities are being normal right now, though wind speed is very high from last night.
With me, stay on with me. I can see around you that there are these high tides and the situation with regard to the strong winds as well. So stay safe. I want to go to Mandvi now, where Ashutosh Mishra is joining me live. Ashutosh, we are running constantly the reports that you're sending, and it's for all to see what currently is the status on the ground. Go ahead, if you can hear me, Ashutosh. Tell us about the strong winds, the rainfall and the high current as well.
Well, Pooja, you must have realized it just happened all of a sudden. In fact, the wind speed was above the normal, but just 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden, like someone pushed you. So that was the kind of situation, and that was the intensity of the wind. And of course, it's a pre-impact before the landfall. But since the rain has now stopped gradually, it was all of a sudden a very heavy downpour. That has slowed down. But as far as wind speed and its intensity is concerned, that continued to be high. Now, you know, the other side of this creek is quite visible. Of course, it's wearing a deserted look. But this is exactly the places which are very in a close proximity of the coastal line, will have a significant damage due to the strong winds. And one can imagine that if a man, just one individual against this wind cannot stand, you can imagine about, the significant damage to those structures against those massive wind speed. Of course, the sea has gone totally rough. And let me show you this particular creek part. When I arrived here at around 7:30 a.m. in this morning, there were barely 1 feet of water. So this is a creek line where they, stock the water for the anchoring of these small boats for the fishermen community. This is barely 6 feet. The depth is barely 6 feet, but you can see the roughness of this particular creek. And if I could just try to pan the camera towards the ocean, of course, which is almost next to impossible, because it's not the strong wind speed, but also the downpour. So that will make literally difficult to see. But I'll just ask Sanjay to make one effort. If you could see the wind, the ocean there, the roughness, and this explains the gravity and intensity of the pre-cyclonic situation. And once it makes a landfall, it is now to assume and imagine, the horrific images it will bring along with the wind speed. Of course, the fishermen community, those who were first reluctant, were not even leaving the villages and saying that we are the fishermen, we have a strong bonding with the ocean. It was very difficult for them to convince that it's not a flood-like situation, but a storm and a severe cyclone situation. And let me give you one very interesting history about this place. Of course, they were the victim of 1998 such story. In fact, one of the locals, Pankaj, who has been working with the local civic agencies, is joining me here. But the Kutch, every time it is said about the people of Kutch, whenever there is a flood-like situation or a cyclonic
cyclonic situation. It is the people who working in this part of Kutch are often sent to rescue and relief. This time, it's just a reverse cycle that the people from Kutch are at the receiving end of this cyclonic situation and rest part of the Gujarat are here to save them. 1998 वाला याद आया आप लोगों को फिर?
1998 का अभी हम अपने को पूरा याद है. वो एक कानगा के अंदर बहुत तबाही हुआ था, मगर मांडवी उस टाइम पे सेफ था. मगर इतना सिचुएशन खराब उस टाइम पे मांडवी का भी नहीं था जो आज दिख रहा है.
अभी जो हवा आई थी अचानक से बहुत तेज झोंका आया था, डर लगा था आप लोगों को?
हम तो आपको भी एडवाइस कर रहे हैं कि अभी यहाँ पे रिपोर्टिंग करना मुनासिब नहीं है. जान जोखम में डाल के इतना रिपोर्टिंग करना ठीक नहीं है, क्योंकि ऐसा सिचुएशन हमने आज तक यहाँ पे नहीं देखा है.
अच्छा, जो लोग बाकी रेस्क्यू कैंप में जिनकी आप लोग मदद कर रहे हैं उन तक सामान सप्लाई पहुँच चुकी है?
रेस्क्यू टीम की वजह से सब शेल्टर होम के अंदर खाना पीना पूरा इंतजाम एकदम महफूज तरीके से है.
For the next 24 hours, people from the low-lying areas who are in the safer places will not step out, and that is the advisory issued. Pankaj is amongst those civic volunteers who are working very closely with them. All I see now, the raindrop, the downpour had stopped, despite we have the high winds, and this is just a pre-impact. It's just a matter of few hours now. We will see the real impact of this cyclone, the severe cyclonic situation in Kutch. Pooja.
And because Mandvi is in Kutch, it comes in that belt of red alert that has been given to the coastal areas in Gujarat. There must have been evacuations that have taken place. People have been advised not to venture into the sea. Tell us more about it. Has the evacuation been completed just in time? Have they been taken to nearby shelters? What advisories have been given to the local residents in Mandvi, in that port town in Gujarat?
Well, yes, Pooja, the rescue process and the evacuation process was completed within time. In fact, yesterday morning itself, this entire evacuation, if I could show you these images of the village, which was largely most crowded in density. So this was totally evacuated, and a 5-kilometer radius of the seashore were declared as a threat zone. So people are now asked to go to the safer places. Many have in fact gone to the other places, and rescue shelters, school, temple premises, everything is being used. So as far as that process is concerned, that is already been done. The forces like Army, Navy, Air Force are put on standby with the enough stock of food, medicines and other stuff. So that those machinery is also on standby when it comes to the relief operation post-cyclonic situation. So at the moment, since those steps were taken, and it is the lesson that the Gujarat and the administration, the government learned over the years in the different cyclonic situation. They faced one in 2019. There was the worst was in the same region. It was in 1998. So over the years, different cyclonic situation and fighting against them was a lesson for the authorities. So they quickly swing into action. We have seen the center working with the state, all the agencies, machineries, local executives. So that part was literally action taken on time. But for now, as far as the impact is concerned, everyone is bothered. And you heard the local person saying that this is unprecedented even for them. They never could even imagine about such situation coming to this part of Kutch. Pooja.
Ashutosh, go ahead, show us around if possible, only if convenient and possible for you, for us to help understand what precisely is the wind speed, the situation on the ground, because it does come under the red alert zone.
It is the red alert zone. Since the downpour has stopped, I could now bring my camera to the other side and take you to this is exactly the gateway where the wind is coming from. So the landfall, once the landfall takes place, this entire area gonna be literally invisible. This is in fact the custom house. If I could just try get one attempt, and this is where the alarm that was raised, 10 number signal in a local marine, these techie, the words that they use is a 10 number alarm, and that's where this signal has been placed on top of this building. Sanjay is trying to get you one image, one glimpse of that alarm raised. This is the custom house and at Mandvi port. One of the safest places, perhaps, of course, the trading and other process takes place. So it's the commercial area of the Mandvi port. That is the 10 number signal alarm that was raised. And when this is raised, this is unprecedented situation. The 11th is the highest, and when that comes, that one could imagine that there is nothing gonna be left in the city post that devastation. But for now, since 10 number signal means, इसका मतलब अगर हम बहुत साधारण भाषा में समझे पंकज जी तो क्या होता है?
ये जो सिग्नल है, ये 1 से लेके 11 तक का सिग्नल होता है. वो दरिया की सिचुएशन बताता है, सिस्टम बताता है. और ये अभी जो सिग्नल है 10 नंबर का, इसका मतलब ये होता है कि यहाँ का पोर्ट एरिया का पूरा सिस्टम ठप हुआ है.
So that exactly what we know, that entire city has slowed down. In fact, totally shut down. People are indoors at the safer places, no one venturing out. As far as the beach area is concerned, of course, that's a totally threat zone. No one is
only
allowed
on a
to go
temporary
side.
basis, and we hope, yes,
totally rough
as
ocean,
Ashutosh,
high
you continue
tides.
to bring us the latest in this from Mandvi, that the cyclone Biporjoy will reduce its speed. Brijesh Doshi is in Dwarka, Ashutosh Mishra and all other colleagues there in Gujarat and other states as well, including Maharashtra and Karnataka. I'm wrapping up for now, but I'll continue to bring you this top developing story. A cyclone where evacuation, administration, all will have to perhaps ensure that the severe category does come down. Wrapping up for now. Thank you for watching.
The WHO has put the spotlight on fake sugars, but artificial sweeteners has only been an ever-growing market in India, and outside increase in cases of diabetes and the growing burden of obesity world over has ensured that people turn to alternatives. The demand for low-calorie food and beverages have contributed to the market's expansion in India. For example, sugar-free Zydus Wellness's artificial sweetener brand witnessed double-digit growth last year in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic as consumers opted for a healthier lifestyle, shows data from 2021. The Indian artificial sweetener market is projected to reach a value of Indian rupee 12.23 billion by 2023, growing at a CAGR of 3.4% during the forecast period. Think about it. Stevia and other sweeteners are found in 1 million products. Colas, juices, chewing gum, chocolates, and everything that is being sold as sugar-free. It clearly has grown way beyond just tabletop sweeteners. In India, the artificial sweetener market has witnessed significant growth over the past decade. On a global scale, the market for artificial sweeteners has also experienced substantial growth. The global artificial sweetener market was valued at approximately $19 billion in 2020 and is expected to reach $28.9 billion by 2028. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India said it's evaluating the new guideline issued last week by the World Health Organization, but strong advisories against them is unlikely. With Brijesh Vashisht, Bureau Report, India Today.
Absolutely right. We're picking up from our finance ministry sources that disinvestment of Container Corporation, that is Concor, has hit a roadblock. In fact, this was in the offing because the government was expected to launch the expression of interest by January, that is of 2024, but as per finance ministry sources, the government may not be able to go ahead with the process in this fiscal year of 2023-2024 because of certain issues that they are facing from the railway department in terms of bringing a new investor on board. The cabinet had given a nod for 30.8% of government stake to be sold in Concor. Government holds about close to 55% stake, and this definitely puts on a lot of plans of government's disinvestment target, which is close to 51,000 crore for this year, because Concor was contributing about close to 20 to 22% in order to fetch about 12,000 crore with its 30.8% sale.
Those are pictures that are coming in from Mandvi, Kutch and Dwarka in Gujarat. There's also Mumbai in Maharashtra, all bracing themselves for landfall. Cyclone Biparjoy will be making landfall this evening. Heavy arrangements, in fact, that have been made across these states, these coastal states where Biporjoy will be making landfall to ensure that there is minimum damage to life and property. That, of course, will be our top story today. Before that, the headlines. Less than 7 hours to Biporjoy landfall. 9 states on Cyclone Biparjoy alert. Wind speed to reduce to 115 kilometers per hour. India today at cyclone epicenter. India today reports amid heavy rains and gusty winds.
In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch, Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
More revelations in ED case against Senthil. India Today accesses ED probe details. 25 crore Benami property link to Senthil. Tamil Nadu withdraws general consent to CBI. Fight over freebies in Karnataka rages on. Finance Department has rejected Transport Department request for more funds. BJP says Revri politics is bleeding Karnataka already. Big move towards uniform civil code. Law panel begins UCC consultations. Law Commission seeks views of stakeholders. Let's bring you now the latest updates on Cyclone Biparjoy. High tidal waves hit Gujarat as Cyclone Biparjoy intensifies. As per the IMD, very severe cyclonic storm Biparjoy is set to cross Saurashtra and Kutch and adjoining Pakistan coast between Mandvi and Karachi near Jakhau port by this evening. The IMD has warned of heavy rainfall at isolated places, very likely over Kutch, Devbhoomi, Dwarka and Jamnagar, and heavy to very heavy rainfall at a few places over Porbandar, Rajkot, Morbi and Junagadh districts of Gujarat under the influence of Cyclone Biparjoy. "15 ships in multiple configuration along with 7 rescue choppers have been deployed. 23 disaster relief teams formed up in the Indian Coast Guard stations for aid to civil authorities, with 29 Gemini boats and about 1,000 life jackets and 200 life buoys on standby. As Cyclone Biparjoy closes in, Gujarat's Mandvi observes strong winds and high tides. Authorities have shifted around 74,000 people from coastal areas as part of precautionary measures. Under the influence of Cyclone Biparjoy, Dwarka has been witnessing rough sea conditions and strong winds. The cyclone is now likely to make landfall north of Jakhau in Kutch district. Cyclone Biparjoy is all set to make landfall in Gujarat at 3 p.m. today. The severe cyclonic storm is expected to cause massive damage. NDRF and SDRF teams are on standby. The army is also prepared to assist in relief efforts. Gujarat government has shifted over 74,000 people from coastal areas to makeshift shelters in anticipation of the powerful cyclone. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel chaired a meeting to review the readiness, and State Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi took stock of the ground situation in Devbhoomi, Dwarka. Red alert has been issued for Saurashtra, Dwarka, Porbandar and Kutch coast. Jamnagar, Rajkot, Junagadh and Morbi are among areas that are likely to witness severe impact of the cyclone.
And the pre-impact of this landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy is already visible in parts of Kutch and Mandvi. Almost everything goes invisible now. The creeks, very rough ocean, and the wind speed. This is literally going to create havoc in this region of Kutch. In fact, even standing at this place is next to impossible now. I can see literally the weather has deteriorated. All machineries are on standby. Quick response team will be at its station. In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today. And it's a pre-impact of Cyclone Biparjoy, which has hit the coastal line of West Gujarat in West Kutch. And this is Mandvi Port. And it just started 5 minutes ago. Now, literally, standing against this current, massive wind speed is next to impossible. And you see the creek right behind me. Just an hour ago almost, there was a clear surface visible. The water level is barely more than 5 to 6 feet. But all you see now, totally a rough ocean with a high current. And all of a sudden, this started barely 5 to 10 minutes ago. All of a sudden, like someone pushed you. So literally, you know, it requires really a resistance to face this kind of wind speed. Though there is a prediction by the Met Department, the cyclone will slow down up to around 10 km per hour. So even in that case, the maximum speed will be 130 to 140 kmph. But you see, this kind of situation, almost the village across this creek of Mandvi, everything is now invisible. So that is how the impact of a pre-cyclone landfall is quite seen here in Mandvi, the part of Kutch, which is going to be the epicenter of this tragedy, as the eye of the storm will be passing through at far distance from here. But the radius of the ice storm is literally bringing havoc. At Mandvi with Sanjay, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
इम्पैक्ट किन किन हिस्सों में अगर खासतौर पर देखेगा और किस तरीके का इम्पैक्ट जो है वो देखने को मिलेगा, क्योंकि कई इलाकों में तेज हवाएं जो है वो शुरू हो गई हैं.
ऑलरेडी इसका जो प्रभाव में जो तेज हवा चल रहा है 65 टू 75 गस्टिंग टू 85 kmph
किस तरफ?
सौराष्ट्र कच्छ कोस्ट में चल रहा है. ठीक है,
ये इस तरफ किस
सौराष्ट्र, ये सौराष्ट्र है, ये कच्छ है. ये सौराष्ट्र कच्छ कोस्ट में ये तेज हवा चल रहा है. ठीक है,
आगे की तरफ कहाँ जाएगा?
विंड स्पीड बढ़ के 125 से 135, गस्टनेस में 150 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा होगा. ठीक है, सबसे ज्यादा विंड स्पीड कच्छ डिस्ट्रिक्ट में होगा.
इस तरफ से
और इसके साथ साथ जो मोरबी है, जामनगर है, देवभूमि द्वारका है, वहाँ भी विंड स्पीड ज्यादा रहेगा. इसके बाद ये जो जूनागढ़ है, पोरबंदर है, राजकोट है, इसमें विंड स्पीड भी आपका 100 टू 120 किलोमीटर पर आवर हो सकता है. फिर आप राइट साइड जाएंगे, जैसे भावनगर है, सुरेंद्रनगर है, उस एरिया में विंड स्पीड आपका 60 से 70 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा होगा. ये मैक्सिमम विंड है जब ये साइक्लोन तट को पार करेगा. इसके बाद
इलाकों से मैदानी इलाकों में जहां जाएगा वहां पे स्पीड धीरे धीरे कम होती है.
धीरे धीरे तेज हवा जो है वो मैदानी इलाका जब अंदर जाएगा ये कम होता रहेगा.
My colleagues Ashutosh Mishra and Pankaj Upadhyay are now joining me live. Ashutosh is reporting from Mandvi in Gujarat. He in fact is on the ground at the moment. Ashutosh, we saw those reports that you filed earlier. Clearly, the wind speeds are very, very severe already, even before Cyclone Biparjoy makes landfall at 3 p.m. this evening.
Follow me, this is just a trailer of the film that would potentially be, bring by the cyclonic activities when it begins at around 3 o'clock. So already the situation, all I see, the heavy wind speed, of course the downpour is also literally feeling trouble for the city. And here, see the ocean, literally rough ocean on the surface. And across this creek, along the coastal line, everything, of course, is now visible at the moment, but totally deserted since the people have already been left and taken to the better places. So the impact, as far as impact is concerned, the severe cyclonic situation that continues to be, however, the prediction says, the Met Department, that it will slow down right after hitting the coastal line. And do you see this now, the high tide situation this morning? And this is just pre-impact of the cyclonic activities that is taking place in the Arabian Sea. And the moment it gradually moves towards the northwestern side, it will bring literally impact till it falls in the entire radius of this eye of the storm of the cyclonic activity. So for now, everyone is just bracing for the impact, including this Mandvi, Kutch, parts of Saurashtra region, and here to the Okha, this all area which will be impacted by the cyclone when it hits at around 3 o'clock. But the pre-cyclonic situation we already seeing developing gradually with the higher wind speed, and it is way higher than the usual days, even higher than yesterday that we saw here on the same coastline. In fact, 30 minutes ago, the situation was so severe that it was literally barely one was able to stand at this particular post. So there you see entire city is now totally shut down, closed, advisory issued for the people to remain indoors, and several structures.
I'll just come to that. Ashutosh, just stay with us, because we believe that the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Bhupendra Patel, has in fact reached the State Emergency Operations Centre in Gandhinagar. He is keeping an eye on all the arrangements and preparations that have been made in anticipation of the cyclonic storm Biporjoy making landfall in Gujarat and across the coastal region along the Arabian Sea at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Ashutosh, I'll come back across to you. The Chief Minister is inside the State Emergency Operations Centre in Gandhinagar as we speak. What are the arrangements that have been made in anticipation of Biporjoy making landfall where you are in Mandvi? Ashutosh, can you hear me?
Yes, Paulami, please repeat your question. I couldn't hear that.
Right. Ashutosh, I was asking you about the preparations that have been made on ground in Mandvi in anticipation of Biporjoy making landfall.
Well, Paulami, over the years there have been different cyclonic situations, and Gujarat has now expertise to deal with it. So the prior steps were taken, almost in last 72 hours, including the evacuation, including setting up a command center, including setting up a quick response team, the QRTs. Those were very essential, because when the wind speed literally gonna create havoc, bringing, uprooting the trees, street lights, cable connection, all those preventive measures were taken in advance. But when it comes to the situation about particularly saving lives, the people were evacuated, taken to the safer places, medicines, another thing. The government, the local administration is continuously in communication with the state government, all the authorities. We have the adequate number of NDRF teams deployed all around if in case there is a flood-like situation. However, that will be possible only in the low-lying areas for now. At least as far as Mandvi is concerned, not really much expected as far as flood is concerned. Whereas the NDRF, whereas the Army, Air Force, the Navy teams, since the Defence Minister has also taken a review stock of it, those preparations for the ensuring the adequate amount of relief materials to be put on standby. So, precautionary measure when it comes to already, since the government, state government's machinery were in talks, preparing, taking every step that was necessary. But until unless the impact passes through and the assessment of the damage is done, that will, help the authorities to chalk out a further strategy. Because remember, being this coastal region of Kutch, this is largely, the marine area where you have a large dominating number of the fishermen community, and their only source of income is the fishery business. So when that goes literally standstill, to restart the life, restart the business, that will be really, a challenging job. Of course, the government will announce certain compensation. Center will also certain funds to the state to redevelop this entire damage done. But until unless the cyclone hits and the impact which is assessed, which is anticipated by this severe cyclonic situation, when the wind speed is gusting up to 140 kilometers, that will literally bring in havoc to the coastal line. So not just Mandvi, but every villages that fall along this coastal line, and where the radius of this eye of the storm will pass through. So one can really pray for that it passes peacefully without making really severe damage. But we have seen in several cases of cyclone in many states, whenever there has been such kind of cyclonic situation, it has literally caused devastation in those regions. Follow me.
Right. Ashutosh, stay safe. Continues to be with us. Ashutosh will, of course, keep reporting on Cyclone Biparjoy as it's expected to make landfall at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Pankaj Upadhyay, my colleague, is also joining us live from Marine Drive in Mumbai. While, of course, Gujarat has made all preparations and already, the situation is quite alarming in the way that the wind speed is where Ashutosh is. Pankaj, what are the preparations that have been made on the ground in Mumbai as there is anticipation of Cyclone Biparjoy making landfall at 3 p.m. this afternoon?
Polomi, fortunately for Mumbai, the skies are clear for now. It has not been raining since last night. But the sea is ferocious right now. There is a high tide warning at 10:30 a.m. of 4.1 meters. And even though there isn't really much of a danger as far as Mumbai is concerned, yet the authorities maintain that the Indian Navy, the Coast Guard, the NDRF are in close coordination with the state government. The fishing activity has been completely stopped for the next 48 hours, and people, the localites, the tourists have been advised not to venture near the beach or here at Nariman Point and the Marine Drive Promenade area. Remember, just a few days back, there was an unfortunate incident in the Juhu beach area. But even though there isn't really much of a danger for Mumbai, yet the authorities maintain they are in a state of high alert. As far as the Indian Navy is concerned, it maintains that 5 of its aircraft are in a state of absolute readiness. Additionally, INS Shikra in Mumbai, it says it's in a state of readiness. INS Hansa in Goa says in a state of readiness. Plus multiple teams of NDRF have already been deployed at several places, and many are on standby as well. And yet I repeat, as authorities maintain, there isn't really much of a danger as far as Mumbai is concerned. Yet for the entire coastline, there is high state of alertness that is being maintained. And most importantly, fishing activities have been stopped and people have been advised not to venture near the sea. Follow me.
So people have been advised not to venture near the sea. You can already see that as far as Gujarat is concerned, obviously, which is expected to face maximum impact of Cyclone Biparjoy, the sea is very choppy already over there. The wind speed extremely high. So the entire area has been deserted along the coastline as far as Gujarat is concerned, especially in the Saurashtra and Kutch regions. Ashutosh earlier there reporting from Mandvi. He, in fact, is still standing by with us. Ashutosh, this entire beach town of Mandvi clearly seems deserted. A lot of people, close to about 74,000 people, have been evacuated from the Gujarat coastline.
Yes, and that was very necessary looking at the announcement, the prediction of the Met Department that the wind speed is gusting up to 140-150 kilometers. The first priority was to evacuate people from the low-lying areas. Remember the fishermen community who are literally living in a very close proximity of the seashore where they have the kacha houses. Such wind speed will literally take them the entire structure and potentially entire village. So in that case, the casualty would have been really higher. And that's the first preventive measure by all the administration. I see certain vehicles of the local departments are doing a patrolling. And as far as the venturing out the people is concerned, of course, one cannot even, think of or imagine of going around. Look at this. I was just here, Paulavi, at around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. This was literally very calm. Barely 1 or 1.5 feet of water, and the depth is even not more than 6 or 7 feet. But look at the current, look at the the tide, high tide that we're seeing at this morning. So this is just a pre-impact, and this is not even the the seashore of the area. This is just a creek. In fact, the seashore is right opposite to this direction. This is a creek where you have the boats are parked or the anchored here from the fishermen community or the traders. But look at the high tide that has already started the pre-impact of this cyclonic activity. So in such kind of situation, one can really anticipate the possible situation when the landfall takes place around this coastal Gujarat or West Kutch or this Saurashtra parts. So everywhere the places it will pass through will bring literally devastation. That is one always anticipated when you have such a severe cyclonic situation. In fact, look at the alarm that was put up by the authorities here, the Marine Department of the Gujarat. That is the signal, the number 10 signal in the local language. This is for the fishermen community. when such signal for the number 10 is alarm, that is an alarming situation, and this itself indicates that there are certain parameters drawn when such kind of situation or alarm. The people, fishermen, everyone, all activities in and around the ocean goes for a halt. Entire city goes for a halt, and this is exactly the Gujarat maritime boat. The gates are of course locked except few media persons and the officials. No one is allowed to even come to that area. Across this, the other side of this creek where the commercial activities of the fishermen take place, including maintenance of the big giant, these ships. So all activities have been halted, and this will be until and unless the cyclone passes. So for the next 24 hours, gonna be really very critical. Remember, when the cyclone hits, that will be some around post 3 p.m. and exactly 3-4 hours, they're gonna be literally dark all around. Electricity supply has been disrupted to prevent further damage. So the assessment of the loss will only be possible to the next morning when the officials and the quick response team will start, taking around across the Mandvi and the rest part of this coastal line of West Gujarat. So that's gonna be really very challenging for administration, for the people of West Gujarat, for people of Mandvi, or the this part along from Okha to other places. Follow me.
Right. Also, in terms of shelters, what are the arrangements that have been made, Ashutosh? Because a lot of people, as you've been reporting, and our colleagues who are in fact standing by along the Gujarat coastline have been reporting, a lot of people have been evacuated. What about the shelters and the arrangements that have been made?
So immediately the first threat which was declared was around 2 kilometers from the radius of the seashore, from the coastal line, and they were taken to the temple premises. There are certain schools, government schools, and every those structures which were vacated and were falling from along 3 to 4 kilometers from the radius, that were made a temporary shelter for the people. And there you see, look at this, the sea surface, how rough the ocean is. This ship that you see in these images that was parked here, this is here for the maintenance, is a big fisherman boat. This was very calm, and now the activities that you see in the ocean, and this is the part of the creek, look at the way the boat is moving. This giant mega boat is which was literally halting here. There was no activity around. Now I can see this boat is literally shaking with the rough ocean. So of course the relief centers are concerned, that were placed far from the coastal line, and as far as food and other electricity concerned, power generator, power backups were provided. Medicines, ambulance are kept on standby. In fact, all these connectivity, if I could just zoom into that bridge over the creek, you see totally deserted. One bridge which connects this part of Mandvi to rest of Gujarat, even to Ahmedabad, has now totally goes on halt because no activities is permitted by the advisory of the government. So on those places, they have maintained that there will be enough stock available. In fact, while traveling from Mundra to Mandvi, all those, even the migrants who are working in the commercial zone near the Mundra, they all have been taken to the places. So food, medicines, emergency, all arrangements were done on time, but now they're all just bracing for the impact of the cyclone. And as a pre-situation, it's already literally scary. One could really anticipate what would happen after 3 o'clock. Follow me.
Right. Ashutosh, stay on with us. This is a report now which my colleague Gopi Gangar has in fact filed from Mandvi in Kutch district.
चल रही है, हम खड़े नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। लगातार आप एक बिल्डिंग के सामने आ गए हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे खड़े रह पाना, आंखें खोल पाना भी मुश्किल हो रहा है। और आपको दिखाती हूँ जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है। आप 100 मीटर को देखेंगे तो 100 मीटर 100 मीटर तक का भी विजिबिलिटी नहीं है। यानी जिस तरीके से हवा और बारिश ये दोनों हो रहा है और चक्रवात का जो असर है वो अब धीरे धीरे दिखना शुरू हो चुका है। ये मांडवी का जो पॉट इलाका है वहाँ पे हम इस वक्त मौजूद हैं, लेकिन सामने कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है। पूरी तरीके से इमारत तक को देख पाना मुश्किल साबित हो रहा है। देखिए ये अब साइक्लोन का जो असर है वो धीरे धीरे शुरू हो गया है और 12 बजे हाई टाइड होगी, अंदाज़ा लगाया जा रहा है कि जहाँ पे इस वक्त हम मौजूद है पोर्ट का इलाका, वहाँ पे समुंदर का पानी आ जाएगा। कम से कम 7 से 8 फीट ऊपर हम लोग खड़े हुए हैं। तो यहाँ पे जब समुंदर का पानी आ जाएगा तो हम लोगों को भी बोल दिया गया है कि मीडिया उस साइड नहीं जाएगी जिस साइड समंदर है। लेकिन ये सामने का इलाका आपको दिखा रहे हैं जहाँ पे इस वक्त तेज़ हवाएं चल रही है। देखिए ये हवाएं इतनी ज़्यादा है कि बिल्कुल खड़े नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। लगातार यहाँ पे सब कुछ हिल रहा है और पूरी तरीके से आपको ये एहसास हो जाएगा कि किस तरीके से चक्रवात जो है वो मांडवी के आसपास के इलाके में यहाँ पे पहुँच चुका है। उसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो देखना शुरू हो चुका है।
In fact, that's continuing to be our top focus story all through today. We're slipping into a very short break. Coming up next, a big boost to military intel capabilities. India to seal US Predator drone deal. Details on the other side.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.
Kerala's public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.
Kerala's public health, all political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
In a massive push to military intel capabilities, India is all set to finalize its long-pending plan to acquire top-notch armed Predator drones from the United States. India and US are likely to announce a $1.8 billion deal for 18 Predator B armed drones. The armed Predator is equipped with air-to-ground missiles and smart bombs for long-range precision strikes. The deal is for 18 drones, 6 each for the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Navy. Sources also suggest that Rajnath Singh-led Defence Acquisition Council will take up the acquisition project for approval under the government-to-government deal with the US. India has long expressed interest in buying large armed drones from the United States, but bureaucratic stumbling blocks have hampered the deal worth billions of dollars for years. Now, the deals will cement the US's position as India's second largest supplier of defense hardware after Russia. So that is, of course, the deal that is likely to be struck. Remember that Prime Minister Modi is slated to travel to the United States between the 21st to the 24th of June. A big drone deal which is likely to be struck. It's expected to be a $1.8 billion deal that India is likely to strike with the United States. Is a major push, in fact, for military intel capabilities. It will be finalizing this long pending plan to acquire top-notch armed Predator drones from the US. India and US are likely to announce this $1.8 billion deal for 18 Predator B armed drones. The armed Predator is equipped with air-to-ground missiles and smart bombs for long-range precision strikes. The deal is for 18 drones, 6 each for the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Navy. My colleague Gaurav Sawant is joining me over the phone line right now. Gaurav, how significant is this deal as far as enhancing military intel capabilities is concerned?
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States of America, extremely crucial, especially from the point of view of strategic cooperation and military hardware purchase. So if we were to talk about the GE414 engines, extremely crucial. Should this initiative on critical and emerging technologies initiative be taken to its logical conclusion? Point one. Point two, when it comes to the Guardians and the Predators, this has been in the works for quite some time. However, the pricing was a critical issue. We are told that the conversation between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, they've been able to take this to the next level. And again, as far as keeping an eye on the adversary in the Indian Ocean region is concerned, or in the high Himalayas, and to be able to engage the enemy, ensuring the lives of your pilots, are safe. The drones will be an absolute game changer, according to military analysts and soldiers on ground.
Gaurav, stay on with us. Shiv Arur is also joining us over the phone line right now. Shiv, again, just give our viewers a sense of how useful these drones are going to be.
Follow me, these are the drones that India is going to be signing a deal for very soon are the Predator B armed drones. These are called Sea Guardians. Now, one aspect of it, as Gaurav correctly described, is the fact that these are, very, very advanced unmanned aerial vehicles that are capable of long-range strikes, behind enemy lines, of the kind that Predator drones have been conducting in other countries as well. But remember, India's situation is a very unique one. We are surrounded, not by countries like Iraq and Afghanistan, but countries like Pakistan and China, which have armed drones of their own. But having said that, quite apart from the ability to drop bombs or strike with air-to-ground weapons, the true capability of these drones, for me, is their long endurance surveillance capability. These drones are capable of staying in the air for in excess of a day, more than 24 hours. They can stay in the air. They can be pre-programmed. They are autonomous. They are very intelligent, and they require very little human intervention. They can be programmed to look out for certain things when they are out on long-range surveillance missions over the ocean or over land. They have highly capable sensors capable of taking high-resolution imagery at day or night. Other kinds of sensors as well. So their intelligence gathering capabilities, their high-resolution cameras, their ability to keep track of what's happening in the battlefield or over any territory really at long ranges and for a long duration of time makes them extremely useful for me. The Indian Navy has been operating a couple of these on lease, Sea Guardian drones on lease since November 2020. And the Indian military is extremely impressed with the capability. Remember, India has not only long land borders with hostile neighbors, but we also have a huge amount of oceanic territory to govern and survey on a daily basis because of the threats that emanate from the sea as well. So this is a capability that the Indian military has been insisting on for a very long time, and now the deal is finally in sight.
Okay, Shiv, stay on with us. Gaurav, again, if you could explain to our viewers, how are these drones possibly the best in business?
So these drones, as Shiv was also rightly pointing out, form a part of the entire, calculus as far as the armed forces are concerned. You have your P-8Is, which are long-range maritime reconnaissance aircraft. You have these drones that keep an eye. You know how vast this Indian Ocean region is. And India's responsibility from the North Arabian Sea to the South China Sea, on either side, vast sea that you have to, in a way, control and deny to the adversary. So you have your aircraft carrier battle groups, you have your P-8I, long-range maritime reconnaissance aircraft, you have these drones. You keep an eye on the adversary and you ensure that the moment the adversary crosses those choke points, whether it's the Malacca Straits, and every Chinese warship or submarine that comes in has to cross those choke points. You dominate those choke points, and the adversary knows that. When the adversary's oil resources come in, you dominate all of that, and that is why all these resources in tandem operating together give you that security net to ensure that the better protected you are in the Indian Ocean region, the better protected are the Himalayas. And that is where the adversary would think twice before trying anything, like they did exactly 3 years ago. Today is the day when Galwan happened 3 years ago, and the adversary would think twice. The stalemate is costing China too. And perhaps we should see some forward movement on both sides at the remaining friction points. It only comes if you are a strong nation. If you're a strong nation, you can stare the bully down with all these weapons and systems. That's exactly what India intends to do.
Right. Shiv, also coming back to you, this of course will cement US's position as India's second largest supplier of defense hardware after Russia.
Absolutely. And, in the 2 decades since the US has resumed supply of military hardware to India, remember the US had imposed sanctions on India in the wake of the 1998 nuclear test. But after the Kargil war, it has been, a virtually non-stop supply line of weapons and equipment, from C-17 and C-130 aircraft for the Air Force, the P-8Is for the Navy, the Apache and Chinook helicopters for the Air Force as well, the M777 ultralight artillery guns for the Indian Army. It has been, a virtually uninterrupted supply of American armament. very much in keeping with how the U.S. Sees India as an ally in the region, as a countervailing force to a rising China as well. So this is going to be a huge sort of binding force as far as the India-U.S. strategic relationship is concerned. But it's also the most complicated and significant, military system that is being supplied, Polomi, because, unlike transport aircraft and helicopters, the Predator drones are a very, very closely guarded piece of technology. They are not supplied by the United States to any other country apart from NATO allies and very, very close nations like Israel and Japan. No other country has permission to, acquire this capability. The U.S. keeps, the actual intellectual property of these Predators a highly classified secret, and for good reason, because these are advanced systems that have been used by the CIA for drone bombings in the AFPAC region, in Iraq, etc. The capability is, as Gaurav correctly described, a major game changer. This kind of thing can tilt the balance of any kind of conflict by the sheer virtue of what these Predator drones can do. Once the balloon goes up. So India acquiring this capability is also an affirmation of that relationship. The fact that beyond Quad, beyond Malabar, India is seen as not just a rising regional power, but also a global power. And I think, defense deals are sweeteners when it comes to diplomacy, and you've seen that as well, Polomi. But the Predator, the Sea Guardian drone deal goes beyond all of that. What I'm basically trying to say in conclusion is that this isn't just another weapon system. This is basically the United States saying, we trust India with the most complex, most closely guarded military equipment because the challenges that India faces are the challenges that the United States faces as well.
Right. Shiv and Gaurav, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on this mega defense deal that India is expected to sign with the United States. Now, ahead of the biggest Modi America visit, Mega India Today exclusive US Ambassador Eric Garcetti, in fact, speaks to India Today. An interview on Prime Minister Modi's US tour, the mega drone deal and jet engine deals with the US and much more.
To talk about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big state visit to the United States, we're joined in New Delhi by the US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti, welcome. And it's fantastic to see you in person. All of us in India have been waiting for you for so long, so it's really great to have you here.
Well, it feels like home. Thank you. It's so much has changed, but the warmth of India has not.
Oh, fantastic. We've seen a massive build-up to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. The National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was here. Do you want to give our viewers at India Today a sense of what they should expect? What do you hope would be the big takeaways of the Prime Minister's state visit to the US?
Well, I think it's a historic visit, but it's also at an historic moment, an historic time, not just in the friendship between the United States and India, but even in the world, the global challenges we face, everything from climate change to war. How do we have what I call the 4 Ps? Peace, prosperity, our planet, and people. And I think this visit will focus on how India and the United States can be a force for good in each of these, creating more peace, building more prosperity, protecting our planet, and connecting our people.
The US Defense Secretary was here. The National Security Advisor has been here.
Yes.
Some of the key outcomes are being kept guarded, but can you give us a sense of what people should expect in terms of the key announcements that are likely to be made during the Prime Minister's visit?
Well, I think no surprises to all of your viewers and to folks who have been watching this relationship. We've been deepening our military cooperation, whether that's defense production, our technologies, our training. All of that is a really important piece of deterring bad actors, but also strengthening our own defense in the Indo-Pacific region. Second, you're going to see, as we just saw with the National Security Advisor's visit, technology. How can India, which is brilliant on technology, and America, which has cutting-edge universities in technology, use technology as a force for good? So I think you'll see things around how do we ensure that our cell phones are used to protect us and connect us, not to oppress us. What can we do to have critical minerals move forward so the supply chain is diversified? And what can we do to lessen some of the trade wars that even at a small level we've seen burn for decades between the US and India? And then I think when it comes to the people-to-people, we're going to see, I think, some agreements to move forward on climate at work. We're going to see agreements on education and hopefully some good things that will connect our people with fewer wait times for folks who are looking to travel to the United States, whether it's as students or whether it's as immigrants.
That's a big issue here. People
Absolutely.
waiting for visas.
And a priority of mine.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Hopefully you can resolve some of those niggles. Prime Minister Modi has been to the United States earlier. This is his first state visit, though.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a sense of how important this is in the U.S. scheme of things, this relationship with India and this particular moment?
I think this is the most critical relationship growing in the world today. And I think that this visit reflects that. I know the Prime Minister came as a young man, talks about how he looked at the White House, and now to come back as leader of the most populous country in the world, the largest democracy in the world. I hope that this will really be a chance for people to see these are two countries that don't just do big things, we have values underneath them, the foundations of the things that we stand for, pluralistic societies, making sure that, like this interview, we have a press that informs us, looking at the ways we can empower women, take the poor and move them into the middle class, how technology can help us have opportunity. That will really be highlighted, I think, in a beautiful way, not just to improve India and the United States, but imagine what India and the United States can do together for the rest of the world.
India-US ties are deepening at a time when tensions between Washington and Beijing and New Delhi are increasing as well. How do you see the India-US dynamic play out in the context of China trying to rise as a superpower and try and dominate its neighbors and the rest of the world?
Well, I think that we share those values, that we should have a free Indo-Pacific region, freedom of the seas, that we should have protection of basic democracy and human rights. I think that we see our relationship not based on any third party. And I know India wants to have more peaceful relations with China. The United States wants to have more peaceful relations with China. But in the meantime, if we see any country out there acting against rule of law, acting against our interests, I think we have a deep friendship and in many ways a strategic partnership that says we will be there for each other in times of need.
You know, you've come to India at a time when this massive visit's happening and everybody's been waiting for your confirmation to happen for you to come here. How's your stint in India been so far? Because, whether it's the Anthony Blinken, whether it's Jake Sullivan, whether it's the Defense Secretary, you had massive visits happening at a very high level. So you literally been thrown into the hot seat.
I think every ambassador around the world, American ambassador, is jealous of how much attention India is getting. I mean, to have a visit of the Prime Minister at a state visit, to have our president come for the G20 2 months later. They just saw each other in Japan. Hopefully they'll see each other even later in the year. This is, I think, indicative that India is hot, America is hot, and that Indians love Americans and Americans love Indians. It's a time for us to strengthen that bridge between us. It's a time for us to do that not just for ourselves, but also, I think, increasingly for the world.
Let's spend a moment on that G20 summit.
Yes.
President Joe Biden will be here in September. How do you see India's presidency shape up so far, and what do you think should be or could be the key legacy that the Indian presidency leaves behind?
India is really a bridge between East and West, a bridge between North and South, and a bridge between the past and the future. And in that sense, I think we have an amazing opportunity to see India's leadership, whether it's empowering women, whether it's making sure that folks have access to capital, whether it's looking at the work that's being done with technology as a force for good. These things together, I think, can be the legacy of G20, and we're very excited to support India's chairing of this. We know it's a difficult time. We might not get unanimity on everything, especially when it comes to war. We'll speak up still about the war of aggression of the Russians in Ukraine. But that doesn't mean the other work has to stop. We will see, I think, some very productive, very important work, and we invite every country to join us in that here in India.
Well, thank you very much. I hear that there's a huge demand for people to be in D.C. at that big dinner that President Biden...
Hottest ticket in town.
Yeah, it is absolutely the hottest ticket in town. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
My pleasure.
And we wish you all the best. Hope you have a great stint. And that promise that you just made about reducing visa times, everyone watching, I can guarantee you, will hold you to that.
We're going to be working hard to get it done.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you soon.
You too.
Cheers.
Thank you.
GE 414 engines have been talked about for over a decade now for the light combat aircraft Mark II. Will the fighter jet engines finally be manufactured in India for the Indian Air Force next generation and future fighter jets? Will there be transfer of technology and co-production of the jet engines that power the FA-18 Super Hornets, the Growlers and the Saab Gripens? India and US have been in negotiations, and the deal is likely to be inked during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to the United States.
India and the US are all set to ink a landmark agreement for the manufacture of the General Electric 414 fighter jet engines in India. India's indigenous light combat aircraft is currently powered by the GE 404 engine, and New Delhi and Washington DC have been negotiating for the more advanced GE 414 engines to power the LCA Mark II and the advanced 5th generation medium combat aircraft.
We established an ambitious new roadmap for defense industrial cooperation, which will fast-track high-priority co-development and co-production projects.
In January, the White House had confirmed receiving an application from General Electric to collaborate in the manufacturing of fighter jet engines in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the US President Joe Biden had both pushed for the initiative on critical and emerging technologies, or ICET, and negotiations are being held between India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and his US counterpart Jake Sullivan. The GE 414 engine currently powers the FA-18 Super Hornets and Sweden's Saab Gripen fighter jets. The General Electric company says both South Korea and India's Hindustan Aeronautics Limited are working to acquire the GE 414 engine.
Having a tie-up for a good engine technology is something we've been looking for a while, and this is going to be a big game changer because your subsequent aeroplane design can be based on this particular engine, which is reliable, fuel efficient, and can take the aeroplane to higher Mach number speeds.
The deal, once inked, goes to the US Congress for approval. In fact, the GE 414 engine had been shortlisted for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's LCA Mark II ever since 2010. Analysts say initially components are likely to be manufactured in India, but New Delhi is looking at manufacturing the entire engine in India, not just for use by the Indian Air Force in India, but also look at possible upgrade and export of future engines. Fighter jet engines have been India's Achilles heel since the failure of the Hindustan Fighter 24 Marut experiment. The twin engines on the Hindustan Fighter Marut were found to be underpowered for India's first attempt at manufacturing supersonic fighter jets. The indigenous Kaveri engine remains work in progress. The LCA is currently powered by the GE 404 engine, but the LCA Mark II, the AMCA, and the Ghatak unmanned combat aerial vehicles are likely to be powered by the more powerful GE 414 engines that boast of rapid engine throttle response, extra thrust, ready on demand, maximized time on wing, easier maintenance, and lower life cycle cost. The move is also being seen as an important step to take the India-US relationship to the next level and gradually wean India away from the Russian arms market. Bureau Report, India Today.
Slipping into a short break. Coming up next, less than 7 hours to Biporjoy landfall. 9 states on Cyclone Biparjoy alert. Wind speed to reduce to 115 kilometers per hour. All those updates and details on the other side of this very short break.
Pranav Salkar saw his mother struggle to get water after coming back from work every day. The nearest source of water was half a kilometer away. Pained by this sight, the 14-year-old took matters into his own hands. He started digging a well, and in 4 days, he struck gold.
त्याला मी एक सूचना दिली होती का इथे कण थोडंसा पाणी लागतो का आपण बघूया. नंतर आम्ही मग कामावर जायची सुरुवात केली. मग त्यांनी मनापासून सुरुवात केली खोदायला. त्याच्याकरता त्यांनी खोदता 3-4 दिवस त्यांनी लावले आणि पाणी लागलं.
Pranav's parents speak fondly of their son's efforts. They recount how he had made a ladder to dig out soil from the pit.
आम्ही मजुरी करतो, आम्ही संध्याकाळी येतो काम करून. मग मला त्रास होतो म्हणून माझ्या मुलाने विहीर खोदली 4 दिवसात. मला आनंद वाटतो.
ते पाणी तुम्ही वापरता का?
त्या पाणी आम्ही वापरतो.
Kelve village in Palghar gets piped water thrice a week. To Pranav's parents, who work as labourers, the well is a relief. And it goes without saying, Pranav is now a hero in his village. Bureau Report, India Today.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 42 and minimum 29 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 28 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 45 and minimum 31 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 33 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 30 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 39 and minimum 27 degrees.
Make your media plans smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
are watching India Today.
Good morning and a warm welcome to India Today. I'm Paulami Saha. Our top focus this morning and all through the day will be Cyclone Biparjoy, which is expected to make landfall at 3 p.m. this afternoon. You can see those images coming from across coastal districts of Gujarat, where in fact a red alert has been sounded. Mumbai is on alert as well. Maximum impact to be felt in Saurashtra and Kutch regions of Gujarat, for which the state authorities are well prepared as they brace themselves. That is going to be our top focus. These are the headlines we're tracking at the top of the hour. Less than 5 hours to Biporjoy landfall. 9 states on Cyclone Biparjoy alert. Wind speed to reduce to 115 kilometers per hour shortly. India Today at cyclone epicenter. India Today reports amid heavy rains and gusty winds.
In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch, Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
Big move towards uniform civil code. Law panel begins UCC consultations. Law Commission seeks views of stakeholders. AIADMK files complaint with Enforcement Directorate to take action against Udayanidhi Stalin based on Minister P. Tyagarajan's audio clip. More revelations in ED case against Senthil Balaji. India Today accesses ED probe details. 25 crore rupees Benami property link to Senthil. Tamil Nadu withdraws general consent to CBI. Let's bring you now the latest updates on Cyclone Biparjoy. Strong winds were seen in the coastal town of Mandvi as Biporjoy approaches Gujarat coast to make landfall this afternoon. Mandvi is expected to see extremely heavy rainfall today due to the cyclone. As Gujarat braces for Cyclone Biparjoy, India Today continues to report from the cyclone epicenter. Reporters on ground continue to bring updates from Mandvi, Dwarka and Mumbai as well. Heavy rains, gusty winds, high tides. India Today reporters in the eye of the storm continue to bring you fearless and factual ground reports. People witnessed high tide triggered by Cyclone Biparjoy at the Mandvi coast. The cyclone is expected to make landfall in Gujarat later today. India Today continues to track Biporjoy. Maximum reporters have been deployed on the western coast. Cyclone Biparjoy, classified as a severe cyclonic storm, will cross Saurashtra and Kutch and adjoining Pakistan coast between Mandvi and Karachi near Gujarat's Jakhau port today. Cyclone Biparjoy is all set to make landfall in Gujarat today. The severe cyclonic storm is expected to cause massive damage. NDRF and SDRF teams are on standby. The army is also prepared to assist in relief efforts. Gujarat government has shifted over 74,000 people from coastal areas to makeshift shelters in anticipation of the powerful cyclone. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel chaired a meeting to review the readiness of the state, and State Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi took stock of the ground situation in Devbhoomi, Dwarka. Red alert has been issued for Saurashtra, Dwarka, Porbandar and Kutch coast. Jamnagar, Rajkot, Junagadh and Morbi are among areas that are likely to witness severe impact of the cyclone.
And it's a pre-impact of Cyclone Biparjoy, which has hit the coastal line of West Gujarat in West Kutch. And this is Mandvi Port. And it just started 5 minutes ago. Now, literally, standing against this current, massive wind speed is next to impossible. And you see the creek right behind me. Just an hour ago, almost, there was a clear surface visible. The water level is barely more than 5 to 6 feet. But all you see now, totally a rough ocean with a high current. And all of a sudden, this started barely 5 to 10 minutes ago. All of a sudden, like someone pushed you. So literally, you know, it requires really a resistance to face this kind of wind speed. Though there is a prediction by the Met Department, the cyclone will slow down up to around 10 km per hour. So even in that case, the maximum speed will be 130 to 140 kmph. But you see, this kind of situation, almost the village across this creek of Mandvi, everything is now invisible. So that is how the impact of a pre-cyclone landfall is quite seen here in Mandvi, the part of Kutch, which is going to be the epicenter of this tragedy, as the eye of the storm will be passing through at far distance from here. But the radius of the ice storm is literally bringing havoc. At Mandvi with Sanjay, I'm Ashutosh for India Today. And the pre-impact of this landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy is already visible in parts of Kutch and Mandvi. Almost everything goes invisible now. The creeks, very rough ocean, and the wind speed. This is literally going to create havoc in this region of Kutch. In fact, even standing at this place is next to impossible now. I can see literally the weather has deteriorated. All machineries are on standby. Quick response team will be at its station. In fact, look at the wind speed. It is very difficult to even face this. In Kutch, Mandvi with Sanjay Kumar, I'm Ashutosh for India Today.
किस तरीके से हवा की रफ्तार यहाँ पे चल रही है, हम खड़े नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। लगातार आप एक बिल्डिंग के सामने आ गए हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे खड़े रह पाना, आंखें खोल पाना भी मुश्किल हो रहा है। और क्योंकि आपको दिखा दूँ, जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है। आप 100 मीटर को देखेंगे तो 100 मीटर 100 मीटर तक का भी विजिबिलिटी नहीं है। यानी जिस तरीके से हवा और बारिश ये दोनों हो रहा है, और चक्रवात का जो असर है वो अब धीरे धीरे दिखना शुरू हो चुका है। ये मांडवी का जो पॉट इलाका है, वहाँ पे हम इस वक्त मौजूद हैं, लेकिन सामने कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है। पूरी तरीके से इमारत तक को देख पाना मुश्किल साबित हो रहा है। देखिए, ये अब साइक्लोन का जो असर है वो धीरे धीरे शुरू हो गया है, और 12 बजे हाई टाइड होगी। अंदाज़ा लगाया जा रहा है कि जहाँ पे इस वक्त हम मौजूद है, पॉट का इलाका, वहाँ पे समुंदर का पानी आ जाएगा। कम से कम 7 से 8 फीट ऊपर हम लोग खड़े हुए हैं। तो यहाँ पे जब समुंदर का पानी आ जाएगा, तो हम लोगों को भी बोल दिया गया है कि मीडिया उस साइड नहीं जाएगी जिस साइड समंदर है। लेकिन ये सामने का इलाका आपको दिखा रहे हैं, जहाँ पे इस वक्त तेज़ हवाएं चल रही है। देखिए, ये हवाएं इतनी ज़्यादा है कि बिल्कुल खड़े नहीं रह पा रहे हैं। लगातार यहाँ पे सब कुछ हिल रहा है, और पूरी तरीके से आपको ये एहसास हो जाएगा कि किस तरीके से चक्रवात जो है वो मांडवी के आसपास के इलाके में यहाँ पे पहुँच चुका है। उसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो देखना शुरू हो चुका है।
सेफ जगह पर जाने के लिए हिदायत दी है। इन एडिशन की सिंगापुर पे से 50 क्रू मेंबर्स थे जिन्हें हमने इवैक्यूएट किया है।
माल का नुकसान ना हो, लेकिन अगर इतनी तेज हवा है।
साइक्लोन बिपरजॉय नॉर्थ ईस्टवर्ड गति करते हुए सौराष्ट्र कच्छ कोस्ट की तरफ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, और जखाऊ से लगभग 180 किलोमीटर दूरी पे साउथ वेस्ट दिशा पे नॉर्थ ईस्ट अरेबियन सी में केंद्रीभूत है। अभी इसका जो विंड स्पीड है वो भी 125 to 135 गोस्टिंग टू 150 किलोमीटर पर आवर चल रहा है, और आज शाम तक ये तट के पास पहुंचेगा। इसका जो लैंडफॉल प्रोसेस है शुरू हो जाएगा और रात तक चलेगा। जब ये कराची और मांडवी के बीच जखाऊ के आसपास तट को पार करेगा, तब इसका विंड स्पीड 115 to 125 किलोमीटर पर आवर और गस्टिनेस में 140 किलोमीटर पर आवर हो सकता है। ये विंड स्पीड एक वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोन स्टॉर्म का विंड स्पीड है। जैसे हम पहले से बोल रहे हैं, इसकी इम्पैक्ट में लार्ज स्केल डैमेज हो सकता है, जैसे पेड़ गिरना, पेड़ का ब्रांचेस गिरना, इलेक्ट्रिक पोल्स और टेलीफोन पोल्स अपरूटिंग या बेंडिंग होना, स्मॉल हॉट्स, मॉड हाउस, कच्चा हाउस, एस्बेस्टस हाउस, टीन हाउस में लार्ज स्केल डैमेज हो सकता है। सी कंडीशन अभी बहुत डिस्टर्ब है। आज सी कंडीशन ऐसे ही डिस्टर्ब रहेगा, इसलिए कोई फिशिंग ऑपरेशन कि शिपिंग ऑपरेशन कम्प्लीटली सस्पेंडेड होना चाहिए नॉर्थ ईस्ट अरेबियन सी में। ऑफशोर ऑपरेशंस, पोर्ट एक्टिविटी, इंडस्ट्रियल एक्टिविटी, ऑयल एक्सप्रेशंस सभी भी रेगुलेटेड होना चाहिए। और इसके साथ साथ जब ये साइक्लोन तट के पास आएगा तब विंड स्पीड की वजह से जो हमारे ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर है, जैसे कि नेशनल हाईवे हो कि स्टेट हाईवे हो कि कोई रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट हो कि एयरपोर्ट सर्विसेज हो कि नेविगेशन सर्विसेज हो, ये सभी के लिए डेंजरस हो सकता है। और जो तटीय इलाके में जो लोग हैं वो सभी शांत रहना चाहिए और सरकार के साथ कोऑपरेट करना चाहिए। जब सरकार से कोई दिशा निर्देश होता है, इसमें सहयोग करते हुए ये साइक्लोन का जो आपदा है इसका मुकाबला करिए।
My colleague Ashutosh Mishra is reporting live from Mandvi in Kutch district of Gujarat, which is expected to face maximum impact of Cyclone Biparjoy as it makes landfall. The IMD chief over there speaking earlier, Ashutosh, of course, anticipated and has said it out that there is expected to be large-scale damage and devastation, especially to communication lines, to electric poles that could be uprooted. He's talking about mud houses, those with thatched roofs, they will be completely devastated, as also possibly some pakka houses.
Absolutely, and this is usually happening when the cyclonic situation turns into very severe. And the result of this, what I see, it's around 12 o'clock when the high tide is expected. Already the rough ocean, the surface, look at this, the height of the waves that we are seeing literally collapsing with the port area of the Mandvi. So this explains, because this is just a pre-start around 12 o'clock when the high tide will take place, and 3 o'clock is when the impact will begin in this coastal line of Gujarat, from the northern part of Saurashtra to this west part of Kutch, Mandvi to Okha to all other area which will be highly impacted by this cyclone Biporjoy. So you already see a rough sea, and the other side, of course, there's a clarity at the moment that we see. It's totally clouded here, no rain, no downpours at the moment we see, but gradually the weather will literally deteriorate, and maybe in just couple of hours things will really change. And that's the cluster, the colony, the dense population of the fishermen and the other communities have been living here. Of course, they all have been evacuated. At least 2 kilometers of the radius is now been cleared, vacated. Look at this. Now suddenly, all of a sudden that I see, the high tides almost has started here in Mandvi port. And this is exactly why the fishermen are advised not to venture over the ocean for last 2 hours. All activities around Mandvi and this Mundra port was halted by the administration. But for now, of course, we all are bracing for it. But look at this. This is so scary, and that gives a claim penny the magnitude of this severe cyclone that will hit the line. Maybe just next couple of hours, we will see the worst situation, as it is now also predicted by the Met Chief and the officials from the Met Department. What will happen is the most and the worst impact will be only on the cluster of the locals, the villagers, the fishermen community, because there you have certain kacha houses, those houses, and multiple telecommunication towers, electric connection. But for that, let me tell you, the administration already advanced the QRT team, the quick response team, and they will ensure that no roads are at least blocked, because you probably would need medical attention, probably need to maintain the food supply to the safer, to the shelter houses. So those things, and that is going to be really challenging task. We have NDRF, SDRF, local police, civil defense, and other volunteers. But when it comes to the magnitude like this severe cyclonic situation, of course, no manpower can match to the devastation caused by the nature. So here, all one can only pray that there will be as less as possible impact of this severe cyclonic activity. But all I see in the Arabian Sea and this port area, even from the creek to the main exit of the oceanic activity that you see. Look at this. This explains the nature's fury, and this is just a beginning of the impact of it. Since yesterday, the weather has literally deteriorated, and since this morning, all of a sudden things have changed, and this is what we anticipated, that when the landfall takes place around Mandvi and this west coastal line, things will be, of course, all these monitoring taking place. We have the marine board officials who are also camping around. So all the officials are keeping a very close eye on every moment. Though there was a sigh of relief when the Met said the cyclonic activities have got slowed down, and wind speed will probably be a slightly lesser. But having said that, 120 kmph wind speed gusting up to 140 kmph, that makes it a severe cyclonic condition. Even still at the moment, at the marine board officials, they have continued to raise the alarm level of 10. So level 10 alarm is indeed it's worse than a severe cyclonic condition. So while the monitoring taking place by the agencies, all arrangements are in take place, all are just bracing for the impact of one of the worst cyclonic storm here in the west coast of Gujarat.
Absolutely. It's possibly after over 20 years that Gujarat is bracing itself for such a severe cyclone. Ashutosh, stay on with us. In fact, Ashutosh filed a report earlier from Mandvi, and you can see the conditions, the choppy seas and the high wind speed that are visible in that report. Watch this.
And it's a pre-impact of Cyclone Biparjoy, which has hit the coastal line of West Gujarat in West Kutch. And this is Mandvi port. And it just started 5 minutes ago. Now, literally, standing against this current, the massive wind speed is next to impossible. And you see the creek right behind me. Just an hour ago, almost, there was a clear surface visible. The water level is barely more than 5 to 6 feet. But all you see now, totally a rough ocean with a high current. And all of a sudden, this just started barely 5 to 10 minutes ago. All of a sudden, like someone pushed you. So literally, it requires really a resistance to face this kind of wind speed. Though there is a prediction by the Met Department, the cyclone will slow down up to around 10 km per hour. So even in that case, the maximum speed will be 130 to 140 kmph. But you see, this kind of situation, almost the village across this creek of Mandvi, everything is now invisible. So that is how the impact of a pre-cyclone landfall is quite seen here in Mandvi, the part of Kutch, which is going to be the epicenter of this tragedy, as the eye of the storm will be passing through at far distance from here. But the radius of the ice storm is literally bringing havoc. At Mandvi with Sanjay, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
My colleague Ashutosh continues to be live with us from Mandvi in Kutch district of Gujarat. The maximum impact of this, especially on livelihood, is to be felt by the fishermen community. Ashutosh, I was just reading a report of those who have their boats beached at the Jakhau port and are quite worried about the impact that the cyclone will leave on their boats. They're worried about their livelihood. Obviously, they want to venture out and bring those boats out, but the administration has put them up in shelters already and said they cannot venture into sea, and rightly so, but they're worried.
Absolutely, and not just only Jakhau, but this entire region, which is dominated by the fishermen community. In fact, yesterday, just across the other side of this creek of Mandvi port, I was there, and that's also you see the huge number of the boats which are parked and anchored in the safe zone. Of course, that's the other side of the creek, and where potentially will not be much impact of the high tide. But the way we are seeing the rough ocean, if the high tide and the height of this waves are literally rising, that will potentially cause a huge damage to those boats of the fishermen community. So that's indeed a bringing challenge, because they are not just worried about now. This cyclone will pass potentially in less than 24 hours. But the next concern is growing that after this get back to normalcy, what will be about their survival, their livelihood, because this fishermen, the one and only source of income that they have. So that is also going to be a huge challenge for the administration to bring back the city to normalcy, to the cross coastal line, and also ensure the smooth business, because remember, everything has gone for for a halt now, including transportation or everything. So from basics to basic essential needs to their livelihood, that will be really a very challenging job. The fishermen, they were quite adamant. They were so reluctant. Were not even leaving house. It was very difficult for them to convince, because remember, this is, the depth, the relationship that the fishermen have with this ocean. There's a different bonding, and it's a natural bonding. So they believe that we are a good swimmer. Why should we leave? We will be safe. It was hard for the administration to convince them and their family member that this is not a flood-like situation, and this is not an ordinary situation. This is extra severe cyclonic storm that will hit the coastal line. I remember telling you one very interesting fact about the Kutch and the people of this Kutch, which is always said that whenever there is every time cyclonic situation developing or a flood or any such natural devastation, it is the people of Kutch from east to west who are sent to the rest part of Gujarat for the rescue, relief, and carry out other operations with the civil defense volunteers, with other authorities. And this time, the first time when the Kutch, and of course more than 2 decades now, when this part of Kutch is affected, and as far as Mandvi is concerned, this was never affected by such a devastation or such disaster or calamity. So this time it is affected. It is hard for the people to believe that Mandvi, which was believed to be one of the safest place from such natural disaster, is also gonna be gripped by severe cyclonic situation when the alarm level is raised up to 10. Which is the last one. I mean, that's where you potentially expect that there will be literally havoc in the region. So now, of course, the people are afraid. There is sense of apprehension. There are multiple concerns from now survival to even the livelihood. That is, we'll have to see how the government brings everything to ensure there is no loss of life, there is no loss of public properties, and of course to bring the life to restoring to the normalcy and ensuring
absolutely the administration's work, of course, is not over as of yet. This is just half the work done. They have to, of course, rebuild lives after the cyclone makes landfall, which is already anticipated to devastate the coastal areas, at least within the 2 to 3 kilometer radius from the seafront. Brijesh Doshi is also joining us live from Devbhoomi Dwarka. Brijesh, if you can bring us up to speed as to what are the weather conditions right now, where you are at the moment, and how has the administration prepared itself?
See, Paulami, I am right now at Dwarka Beach, and the weather condition is very rough right now. I would ask my cameraman to show you the visuals of the rough sea currently. There is a high current in the sea, and the tides are high. The sea is very much rough from yesterday. I am reporting from the same location from last 3 days, and there is the intensity is increasing day by day. And right now, the wind speed is almost around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour from last night. It's very difficult to stay here or stand here in front of the sea right now. So also the local authorities have asked all media persons to move out from the move away from the sea because of the roughness of the sea right now. So all media people are just going away from the sea area. So this is the situation right now here. The wind is the wind speed is increasing at this moment, and when the cyclone will come more closer, so it will affect very severely here. So all the administrative part has been done here. All the precautions have been taken. Now all are praying that cyclone must not hit Kutch Jakhau port, otherwise it will damage severely.
Okay. Brijesh, thank you so much for joining us with all of those details. But Brijesh, of course, continues to be live with us. We're getting our reporters, in fact, from across the coastline who are standing by and bringing us some very crucial ground reports as Cyclone Biparjoy is expected to make landfall at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Brijesh, you of course were telling us about how the sea is extremely rough. In terms of the evacuation process, Brijesh, what has the administration done so far in terms of preparing themselves in terms of evacuating? Because we believe from along the whole Gujarat coastline, at least about 74,000 people have been evacuated, especially from the Saurashtra and Kutch regions.
Definitely, Palomi, most of the there are 8 most affected areas because of the cyclone. 34,000 people have been evacuated from the Kutch district only. 5,000 from Dwarka, 10,000 from Jamnagar and Rajkot, Morbi. So approximately around 74,000 people have been evacuated because of the intensity of the cyclone and the severity of the cyclonic storm. So government has evacuated all the low-lying areas from last couple of days. They are staying in the sheltered homes, and government has given the advisory to them to not to return to their home before 16th of June. So still for 24 to 48 hours they will be in the shelter houses. Gujarat CM Bhupendra Patel has also reviewed the meeting just a while ago at Gandhinagar Emergency Center. So all kind of meetings are going on. Everything is been taken care, but now the second operation is that rescue operation. How government will do the rescue operation once the cyclone will hit the Kutch. So that is the now the second part is going on. Evacuation has been done. Indian Army, Indian Navy and the Coast Guard on the standby mode. Almost around 10 ships are at Okha port, and 7 rescue helicopters are there. So Indian Coast Guard is also on the alert mode. Once the cyclone will hit, they will start the rescue operations if needed.
Okay, Brijesh, stay on with us. Ashutosh Mishra is also joining us live from Mandvi. He is also reporting from on the ground. Ashutosh, again, we do know that the Chief Minister himself is at the State Emergency Response Office in Gandhinagar right now, closely monitoring the situation. As far as the district administration is concerned, they're also on the ground. We believe that the Home Minister of the state is in Devbhoomi, Dwarka. As far as the administration is concerned, what sort of warning signs have they in fact left for the people so that they adhere to all the rules and do not venture out into the seas?
जहां मैं खड़ा था यहाँ ये लगभग तटीय इलाका है, ये क्रीक है, दरिया का पानी यहाँ से होकर गुजरता है, यहाँ नाव खड़ी होती हैं और यहाँ काफ़ी कुछ देखने के लिए होता है, लेकिन अब यहाँ सब कुछ इनविजिबल है और ऊपर से पानी जो है इस क्रीक में इसका करंट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है। 5-10 मिनट में पहले ही ये शुरू हुआ और ऐसा लगा जैसे किसी ने धक्का दे दिया हो, लोग खड़े और पूरी ताकत से कोई आपको धकेल रहा है। इस हवा के सामने इंसान का भी खड़ा रहना मुश्किल है। आप ये समझ सकते हैं कि जब इसकी रफ्तार 130-140 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे के हिसाब से आगे बढ़ेगी तो स्थिति क्या होगी। अभी तो सिर्फ समझिए कि 3 बजने में काफ़ी समय है, उसके पहले जो शुरुआत हुई है अगर वो इतनी भीषण है तो जब ये लैंडफॉल होगा, ये दोस्तों इस इलाके से गुजरेगा तो अपने साथ किस तरह का प्रकोप लेकर के आएगा। ये जो तस्वीरें देखने वो बेहद भयावह है और इसी के लिए आप समझिए कि सरकार की ओर से, प्रशासन की ओर से वो तैयारियां की गई थी। बरसात की थपेड़ी ये जो बूंदें गिर रही हैं ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे पीठ पर कोई हंटर मार रहा हो। ये मोटी जैकेट के बाद ये हवा जो है, ये जो इसके साथ जो बूंदें आ रही हैं वो चोट पहुंचा रही हैं। तो अभी तो सिर्फ ये प्री पैक्ट है, हालांकि जब अचानक से फिर बरसात बंद हुई है, लेकिन हवा काफ़ी तेज़ है और ये जब जैसे जैसे अपनी इंटेंसिटी आगे बढ़ाएगा लैंडफॉल के करीब जाते जाते तब हालात और असामान्य होते जाएंगे। मांडवी पोर्ट से संजय कुमार के साथ मैं आशुतोष मिश्रा।
खड़े रह पाना, आंखें खोल पाना भी मुश्किल हो रहा है। मांडवी में अब साइक्लोन का जो असर है वो यहाँ पे हो गया है।
And the pre-impact of this landfall of cyclone Biporjoy is already visible.
लगातार इसी तरीके की तेज हवाएं जो है वो अगले 8 से 9 घंटों तक यहाँ पे रहेगी।
It is very difficult to even face this.
You are watching India Today.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.
Kerala's public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Bangalore-based EV startup Simple Energy has launched its first e-scooter. Simple One joins an increasingly populous market which includes players like Ola, Ather, Vida, Hero Electric and Bajaj among others. The company does not currently have any showrooms. The e-scooters have been priced at nearly 1.5 lakh rupees.
Strategy was very clear. We wanted to build a scooter which is super. And I think we have built that. It's in true sense of superior super EV, which does range better, performance better, safety parameters better, riding statistics. Everything is mentored and checked upon. So I think our strategy was very clear on building a great product, and the consumers will take care of it. I think we have solved that piece of it. The second piece, I think we are focused on scaling our dealership, our manufacturing capacity, and I think that will resolve most of the issues going forward. I think there are two things about it. One is, of course, reducing subsidies might deter the growth, but that's very short term. I don't think that will impact much further on it. But also it will push the OEMs to become self-sustained and will build products which are more viable.
Quality today. In Delhi, 156. In Mumbai, 55. In Kolkata, 88. In Bangalore, 36. In Chennai, 101. In Hyderabad, 45.
are watching India Today.
In a massive push to military intelligence capabilities, India is all set to finalize its long-pending plan to acquire top-notch armed Predator drones from the US. India and US are likely to announce the $1.8 billion deal for 18 Predator B armed drones. The armed Predator is equipped with air-to-ground missiles and smart bombs for long-range precision strikes. The deal is for 18 drones, 6 each for the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Navy. Sources also suggest that Rajnath Singh-led Defence Acquisition Council will take up the acquisition project for approval under the government-to-government deal with the US. India has long expressed interest in buying large armed drones from the United States, but bureaucratic stumbling blocks have hampered the deal worth billions of dollars for years. Now, the deal will cement the US's position as India's second largest supplier of defense hardware after Russia. So that is one of the major defense deals that India is expected to sign with the United States at the time that Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits the US between June 21st and 24th. A big deal that will be inked by India. The cost of it expected to be close to about $1.8 billion. This will in fact cement US's position as the second largest supplier of defense hardware to India after Russia. Now, ahead of the biggest Modi America visit, a mega India Today exclusive with US Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti. An interview on India's US tour, mega drone and jet engine deals with the US, and much more.
The US Defense Secretary was here. The National Security Advisor's been here. Yes. Some of the key outcomes are being kept guarded, but can you give us a sense of what people should expect in terms of the key announcements that are likely to be made during the Prime Minister's visit?
Well, I think no surprises to all of your viewers and to folks who have been watching this relationship. We've been deepening our military cooperation, whether that's defense production, our technologies, our training. All of that is a really important piece of deterring bad actors, but also strengthening our own defense in the Indo-Pacific region. Second, you're going to see, as we just saw with the National Security Advisor's visit, technology. How can India, which is brilliant on technology, and America, which has cutting-edge universities in technology, use technology as a force for good? So I think you'll see things around how do we ensure that our cell phones are used to protect us and connect us, not to oppress us? What can we do to have critical minerals move forward so the supply chain is diversified? And what can we do to lessen some of the trade wars that even at a small level we've seen burn for decades between the US and India? And then I think when it comes to the people-to-people, we're going to see, I think, some agreements to move forward on climate work. We're going to see agreements on education, and hopefully some good things that will connect our people with fewer wait times for folks who are looking to travel to the United States, whether it's as students or whether it's as immigrants.
That's a big issue here. People
Absolutely.
Waiting for visas.
And a priority of mine.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Hopefully you can resolve some of those niggles.
So that is, of course, the mega deal that will be struck in the US. That was Eric Garcetti, of course, speaking about the defense deals. Now, GE 414 engines have been talked about for over a decade now for the light combat aircraft Mark II. Will the fighter jet engines finally be manufactured in India for the Indian Air Force next generation and future fighter jets? Will there be transfer of technology and co-production of the jet engines that power the FA-18 Super Hornets, the Growlers and the Saab Gripens? India and US have been in negotiations, and the deal is likely to be inked during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to the United States.
India and the US are all set to ink a landmark agreement for the manufacture of the General Electric 414 fighter jet engines in India. India's indigenous light combat aircraft is currently powered by the GE 404 engine, and New Delhi and Washington DC have been negotiating for the more advanced GE 414 engines to power the LCA Mark II and the advanced 5th generation medium combat aircraft.
We established an ambitious new roadmap for defense industrial cooperation, which will fast-track high-priority co-development and co-production projects.
In January, the White House had confirmed receiving an application from General Electric to collaborate in the manufacturing of fighter jet engines in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the US President Joe Biden had both pushed for the initiative on critical and emerging technologies, or ICET, and negotiations are being held between India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and his US counterpart Jake Sullivan. The GE414 engine currently powers the FA-18 Super Hornets and Sweden's Saab Gripen fighter jets. The General Electric company says both South Korea and India's Hindustan Aeronautics Limited are working to acquire the GE414 engine.
Having a tie-up for a good engine technology is something we've been looking for a while, and this is going to be a big game changer because your subsequent aeroplane design can be based on this particular engine, which is reliable, fuel efficient, and can take the aeroplane to higher Mach number speeds.
The deal once inked goes to the US Congress for approval. In fact, the GE414 engine had been shortlisted for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's LCA Mark II ever since 2010. Analysts say initially components are likely to be manufactured in India, but New Delhi is looking at manufacturing the entire engine in India, not just for use by the Indian Air Force in India, but also look at possible upgrade and export of future engines. Fighter jet engines have been India's Achilles heel since the failure of the Hindustan Fighter 24 Marut experiment. The twin engines on the Hindustan Fighter Marut were found to be underpowered for India's first attempt at manufacturing supersonic fighter jets. The indigenous Kaveri engine remains work in progress. The LCA is currently powered by the GE404 engine, but the LCA Mark II, the AMCA and the Ghatak unmanned combat aerial vehicles are likely to be powered by the more powerful GE414 engines that boast of rapid engine throttle response, extra thrust, ready on demand, maximized time on wing, easier maintenance, and lower life cycle cost. The move is also being seen as an important step to take the India-US relationship to the next level and gradually wean India away from the Russian arms market. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, news that's coming in right now is D-Day for Wrestling Federation of India boss Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. Cops have reached the court with the charge sheet which they'll be filing in the case of the two FIRs that have been filed against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. One in the case of the 6 adult victims and their complaint, and one in the case of the alleged minor and the complaint that she filed against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. There are two teams of Delhi police that have in fact reached Patiala House Court and Rouse Avenue Court, and shortly they will be filing the two charge sheets against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. It remains to be seen what are the charges that are framed against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, if evidence was found against him as far as the complaints are concerned against the WFI boss. Remember, it was today that Sports Minister Anurag Thakur had assured the protesting wrestlers that by today, June 15, the charge sheets will be filed. Anisha Mathur is joining us at the moment on this story. We believe that teams of the Delhi police, Anisha, have reached Rouse Avenue Court and Patiala House Court to file the charge sheets in the two cases. One in the case of the FIR by the 6 adult victims of this case, and one in the case of the alleged minor.
Well, yes, follow me. I can confirm that teams of the Delhi police have reached both courts. I myself am at the Patiala House Court, where just a few minutes ago, two women officers of the Delhi police and the PP, Atul Srivastav, have reached the court of the additional sessions judge on duty. They are carrying quite a large file with them. It looks like at least 2,000 pages of documents. However, that also includes several hundred pages of sealed documents from what we can see from in the hands of the police, who are currently waiting to speak to the judge as far as the case of the minor is concerned. Remember, these are two separate FIRs that were filed, one on allegations by the minor, which would be under the POCSO Act. The second, of course, being the allegations by the adult wrestlers, which is in the Rouse Avenue court, where my colleague Srishti and Sanjay Sharma are there, who are giving us updates, which says that about 1,000-page charge sheet has been filed also at the Patiala House Court. At the moment, Polemy, we are not able to tell our viewers exactly what is in the charge sheet, because still now the judges have not been informed of the contents of the documents that are being submitted by the police. But we can confirm to you that in both courts, in Patiala House Court as well as Rouse Avenue Court, teams of the police and the prosecutors have reached with documents relating to the cases filed by the wrestlers. So in just a few short minutes, we should get an update of what exactly is the police going to be saying in this particular case. But remember, both of these cases also include several statements which are kept in sealed cover. Back to you.
Okay, so several statements that have been kept in a sealed cover. We will, of course, shortly find out what the Delhi police has filed as far as this charge sheet is concerned. There are two charge sheets, as Anisha was pointing out. One which will be filed in the Rouse Avenue Court, which is concerning the complaints of the adult women wrestlers against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. And the second is in the case of the complaint filed by the alleged minor. It is also going to be very crucial, Anisha, because you're, of course, standing by at the Patiala House Court, where the Delhi police will be shortly filing the charge sheet in the case of the complaint filed by the minor, because there were reports, of course, that the minor had appeared before a judge at the Patiala House Court subsequent to her first complaint and possibly recorded a new statement.
Well, Polemy, what was in the statement, as we've been discussing over the last several days, what are the contents of the actual statements is something that will remain sealed. The only clue that we will likely get today from the state will be from the statement that the prosecutor will make, the public prosecutor will make here before the judge regarding the contents of the charge sheet itself. Remember, when a charge sheet is filed, the public prosecutor has to the public prosecutor informs the court. At the moment, and I can tell you, Polemy, right now, my colleague Shreya Chatterjee is inside the courtroom, even as the public prosecutor Atul Srivastav is making his submissions before the Patiala House Court here in the POCSO case. They have said that they want to file a report in the wrestlers case. Now, what is the contents of this report? We will find out as my colleague Shreya gives us updates from inside the courtroom. But as of right now, we can confirm to you in the Rouse Avenue Court, the police is waiting for the judge to come so that they can make their submissions with regard to the contents of the report that they're filing. In Rouse Avenue Court, since the judge is here, additional sessions judge who is on duty during the summer vacation is sitting here. The public prosecutor, Atul Srivastav, has just informed them that the Delhi police is filing a detailed report in the case relating to the minor wrestler. And we will keep getting minute-by-minute updates here as my colleague Shreya is inside the courtroom and sending us updates here at Patiala House Court, and my colleague Srishti is in the Rouse Avenue Court as well, sending us updates on what is happening inside. But as far as the details of the case itself is concerned, remember, Polemy, because this matter concerns sexual offences, because this matter concerns the allegations of molestation, etc., the statements of the victim as well as the key statements of the witnesses are kept in sealed cover till the time the judge takes cognizance of the charge sheet and makes it public. Now, at the moment, of course, as I said, we are waiting for the public prosecutor to give any details of what is actually in the report that they have filed before the court. I am waiting for an update from my colleague who's inside. Back to you.
Okay. Anisha, of course, will be tracking all those developments. So the important piece of information that's coming in right now while the Delhi police waits for the judge to come in at the Rouse Avenue Court, where they will be filing a charge sheet in the case of the complaint of the 6 adult victims, wrestlers who had complained of sexual harassment, the complaint against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. In the case of the minor wrestler, the Delhi police now, we can tell our viewers, has filed its report before the judge in the Patiala House Court. Public prosecutor Atul Srivastav there on behalf of Delhi police has filed that report. A report has been filed in the minor wrestler's complaint case against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. Anisha and Shreya tracking those developments at the Patiala House Court. Let's listen in to what the WFI boss Brijbhushan Sharan Singh said a couple of days ago to my colleague Arvind Ojha.
दिल्ली पुलिस की जांच लगभग पूरी हो रही है एसआईटी की और 2-4-5 दिन में चार्जशीट दाखिल हो जाएगी और कुछ रिपोर्ट दाखिल करेगी। आपका पहला रिएक्शन क्या है?
चलिए वो तो काम कोर्ट का है, उसको कोर्ट को करने दीजिए।
अच्छा, आपने ये भी हल्कों में आया है कि आपने बताया कि एक राजनीतिक साजिश है, जिस तरह से पूरा धरना प्रदर्शन आरोप।
अभी मैं सुबह एक्सरसाइज करके जब गेट पर उतरा तो कोई मीडिया के बंधु खड़े थे, उन्होंने एक अनौपचारिक सवाल पूछ लिया कि क्या आप राजनीति के शिकार हैं? हमने कहा हम राजनीति के शिकार नहीं हैं, हम कांग्रेस के शिकार हैं। और ये जो घटनाक्रम चल रहा है इसमें कांग्रेस की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है, समय आने पर विस्तार से बताएंगे। लेकिन हम राजनीति के शिकार नहीं हैं, हम कांग्रेस के शिकार हैं।
ये जो पूरा एपिसोड हुआ, जितने आरोप प्रत्यारोप लगे, सबके पीछे कांग्रेस है।
कांग्रेस मेरे कुंडली में बैठी हुई है, फिर कभी बताएंगे, लेकिन कांग्रेस मेरी कुंडली में बैठी हुई है। मुझे जब भी तकलीफ होती है तो कांग्रेसियों से।
अच्छा, पुलिस यहाँ भी आई थी, ये पूरा जांच करके गई है। पुलिस यहाँ भी आई थी जांच करके गई।
वो जांच का विषय है, जांच का विषय है।
अच्छा, मेरा एक आखिरी सवाल आपसे है कि ये जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुई, जो जांच हुई, क्या आपको लगता है आप क्या इंसाफ मिलेगा या
नहीं? है इस पर बोलना उचित नहीं है, बोलना उचित।
So that is, of course, WFI boss Brijbhushan Sharan Singh blaming the Congress for the trouble that he's facing. The latest update that we're getting to you from the Patiala House Court is that the Delhi police has filed its report in the case of the minor wrestler who complained against Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. Remember, this minor wrestler just a few days ago, after having filed the original complaint, which was then turned into an FIR, had approached a judge in the Patiala House Court and recorded a new statement. What was in that statement? Did she change her statement? What happened is still not known, because this concerns a minor who was a minor at the time that she alleges she was sexually harassed by Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. The matter is all confidential. It's under sealed cover. That report has now been filed by the Delhi police in the minor wrestler's case before the judge at the Patiala House Court. The Delhi police is also standing by at the Rouse Avenue Court. Another team of the Delhi police is standing by at the Rouse Avenue Court, where the charge sheet will be filed in the case of the 6 adult victims who accused Brijbhushan Sharan Singh of having sexually harassed them between the years 2012 to 2022. 6 adult victims who complained of sexual harassment. Remember, today is when the deadline comes to an end. Just a few days ago, when the Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur had met with the protesting wrestlers over a 6-hour-long meeting, one of the assurances that he gave the wrestlers was that a charge sheet will be filed by June 15 by the Delhi police. Let the law take its own course, he said, and he told the wrestlers who were insisting on Brijbhushan Sharan Singh's arrest, he said, let the law take its own course. The police is investigating the matter. They will be filing a charge sheet by June 15. Today, the Delhi police has now approached the court and has, in the case of the minor wrestler, filed its report before the Patiala House Court and is awaiting the judge's arrival at the Rouse Avenue Court as we speak. We're slipping into a very short break. Coming up on the other side, less than 5 hours to Biporjoy landfall. 9 states on Cyclone Biparjoy alert. Wind speed to reduce to 115 kilometers per hour shortly. Details on the other side of this break.
You are watching India Today.
So, Sakshi, there are a couple of things that are working very well for MRF. If you think it's a 50% return from 1 year ago, in this century alone, suppose we take 2000 as the starting point, I'm sure you must have been in third or fourth standard then. From then on till now, the stock has been a 100-bagger, which means that MRF in 2000 was quoting at 1,000 rupees. And in 2023, it's at above a lakh. So it's gone up 100 times in a span of 23 years. And primarily the reason behind that is a very low liquidity in the stock, which basically means that one, the price ticket is very high, so retail investors generally don't come in, and institutional investors are, from what we've heard on the street, very clear in the mind. Of course, the management also takes a lot of feedback from the market, and they're very clear. Don't split the share, don't reduce the face value, stick to what it is, ensure that there is little liquidity as possible, so that because of the lack of liquidity, the stock keeps on, have that additional momentum to go higher and higher, higher and higher. So in 2012, it was at 10,000. 2014, it was at 25,000. 2016, 15,000, 50,000. 2018, 75,000. And 2023, we are at 1 lakh. Let's see what happens in 2030.
Right, absolutely. But are you actually now looking at a 2 lakh rupee target at all? Is that still feasible to think, or is it still a very, very far off thing that one can imagine?
So, Sakshi, 2 points really. I don't think so. This is a point to enter the stock. Let's be very, very clear. The market is very, very overheated. And end of the day, MRF has an excellent brand, but it's a little on the higher side as far as valuations are concerned. But for those who have the stock, absolutely do not exit. And those who wish to buy, even at these 6 digits, I would just say wait and let it correct a bit. If it does, you're lucky. If it doesn't, then well, you were never a part of the rally and you never are. So what can be done? But I don't think so. This is the time to jump onto the bandwagon. It's extremely overheated. If you look at, the momentum, the price is above short, medium, and long-term moving averages. We've seen increasing volume, but it's very, very risky unless you're a very smart trader to come into the stock.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.